evening, folks. It is Friday, August the 13th, 2021. Apparently, we do live streams almost every day. At least we do this week.
Apparently.
How's it going, Bobby?
I'm good. I'm good.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
It's coming along again.
Yeah.
I'm almost out of the. I'm almost into the merchandise. Just a couple more issues, and I'm out.
Nice.
And then we can start running towards whatever finish line there is.
Yeah, sounds fair. So Josh is the first comment here. Good evening. It appears we're starting at 9-ish. Yeah, that's about fair. To be honest, that's the way this day has gone. I messaged Bobby earlier that it was almost like 6:30. We were approaching 7 o'clock, and I had just turned off the work computer. So it's like at that point, it's like, okay, I just got off of this. Now I can have dinner. Now I can work out for a minute. I can hop in the shower. I can not do work stuff, and then I got to record my pickup video. Oh, I got to upload it. Oh, and then we're doing the live. Oh.
Yeah. 1 minute late. Like, come on.
Yeah, we've been pretty good about it. We've been pretty good about it. All things considered, I think the turnaround has been pretty good. The amount of stuff I still needed. I was literally getting the upload just as I was about to go live. So the upload on the video is going to be ready to go. It's like, okay, and I still have to set it to schedule, so I'll do that. But I was like, geez, good God, this week.
Timing.
Anyway, so the collector says Friday the 13th spooky. It is Friday the 13th. That is very true. Good evening. Andy here. Happy Friday the 13th. Happy Friday the 13th to yourself. Absolutely. Yes, 7 likes. I do appreciate that. Thank you for those of you that took a moment to hit the like button. Appreciate that. Wonder if Bowl blew up again after putting 21 in the Summer League. You would think, it's always possible, but you would think that it's like, fool me once. It would be one of those things that I don't know if, maybe you'll find out if you get a bunch of videos going, hey guys, Bowl's back.
Bowl Baggins?
Yeah, almost. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate it. Yeah, it's 3 live streams in a row is not a problem. It's usually pretty good. It just worked out that way. It was just timing and scheduling. It was I wanted to get Dustin to do that live stream, and it was a lot of fun, to be honest. It was fun kind of going back nostalgically and talking about games and things, and I think the chat enjoyed it. It was a little change of pace, just so it's not the same stuff all the time. And then the one with Chris was parts entertaining for me and hopefully informative for others in certain sections of it. So those that were a little more familiar, I think, got their entertainment from it. It's going to be it's going to depend on what your interest in it is, because it's a simple enough concept, and I hope the takeaway was that take stuff like that with a grain of salt. Those were the takeaway. That it was good to kind of challenge it with the person who came up with it and be able to talk through it. And to their admission and to their credit, they acknowledge, yeah, don't just use it on everything.
True enough. I'm glad you got the shirt I sent you.
Yeah, exactly. Listen, the memo works. The memo works. So Master Diamond says sold a couple of keys to Watkins on ComC. Reactive. Yeah. No, on ComC, if you have stuff on ComC, you can definitely flip something quickly. It is well designed for that if you stay inside the platform. Boston Kid, good evening. Absolutely. Custodians of the cars we all love. All right. Very nice. Very nice. Good evening, Yannick. Loving all the live content. Yeah. No, I try to do it where it makes sense. I'm not going to just put a bunch of live streams just for the sake of it. The Friday one is good. If an opportunity presents itself where I think it makes sense, I'm happy to. It's timing. It's like everything else. Good stuff. Good stuff. Nice to see Bobby again. Hello, Bobby, from the collector. Absolutely. And good evening, name. Perfect. So let me just quickly check this thing while we're on this subject. Beautiful. So
yeah, because I haven't been on for a little while, right?
Oh, it's almost like a week. It's crazy.
Yeah, I thought I lost my position.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, it was just it was funny because I in the preamble when I did the announcement on it, I was like I don't expect everybody to want to watch all the stuff because it's different stuff. It's different stuff for different folks. It's like,
sure,
if you're interested in one of them, check it out. If you're interested in 2, check it out. If you're interested in none, well then I don't know what you're watching this video for. That's usually the way that works. But yeah, it is what it is. So guys, what we're gonna do is I did get a chance to look a little bit into. It was kind of tricky squeezing it in today, but I did get a chance to look into the whole alt thing a little bit more closely. I did get a chance to take a peek at it. So unlike last week we had no news stories. To be fair, the ones we have this week are not like that elaborate. They're interesting, but they're not that complicated. I think most of the interest is going to be in the discussion piece. I think that's how that's going to have to work.
You've done them all this week. That's why.
Well, I didn't talk about the alt thing really at all.
No. I actually looked into it, and it was quite confusing. And I said, I don't have the time for this right now.
Yeah, I'll give a brief synopsis. It's actually not too bad once you get the general concept. I think the discussion is less on what happened It's kind of like it's one of those. It's not what you did. It's the cover up and the attempt to kind of like sweep it under the rug that makes it look worse.
Hmm.
Now you can debate how bad the original thing was, and I'll explain in a second what I'm talking about. So good evening, 357, and good evening, Eric.
Eric.
Absolutely joining us. So, real quick, the alt thing really comes down to this, and I'll put up the card porn. Basically, he did a series of posts on it. So let me just start off with the first one. I'll put it up on the screen, but I'll quickly explain what they're talking about. It's related to the browser extension. So Alt was promoting this browser extension that would let you see eBay completed auctions, specifically looking at the like best offers and stuff like that, similar to what other products use, like 130 point and Sell the Peak and other ones I've talked about before, giving you the data. That's really what it comes out to. That's usually how that works. So let's take a look here. I'll check some of the comments here where we're going. Never asked you before, but you're a fan of the band Rush. I've listened to some Rush songs. Not the biggest fan. Not exactly my era, but I do like. If I go Canadian bands, I'm going to be a little more Tragically Hip. That's going to be kind of the vicinity. Matthew Good is one of my favorites. I've talked about him before on the channel. So if I talk strictly Canadian, those are some of the ones that I would lean towards. I've gotten a lot more familiar with and started to enjoy a lot more Unleash the Archers. They're out of BC. They go very much like a classic metal is what they go with, like, but it's very much a throwback sound. For those that are familiar with that style, it's more of a throwback sound the way they go with it, but they're very good.
Unleash the who?
Archers.
Oh,
No,
not Release the Kraken. Okay, gotcha.
not so much. Release the Kraken will be.
What's
will be
all
later.
that with the West stuff? Letting things go.
I will say though that I do enjoy that they do harken back, and they still like to do concept albums where there's a cohesive story narrative between all the songs. So when I appreciate that. That's a bit of a throwback as well, because not everybody does the concept album anymore. It's tricky to do, and if you can do it well, it's always good.
So Rush is my era. Guess Who? Young, what have you. That's my kind of time period. So yes, Rush fan, of course.
That is fair. And Andy says the cover up is always worse than the crime. True story. Bobby Argo, one of the nicest gentlemen in all of sports history. Not sure what the context is of that, but I'll take your word at it. Just got out of left field, but there it is. So James, good evening. Hello, fellas. Good to see Bobby back. Absolutely. Yeah. As much as we like to tease, it's like, no, Friday's Friday. The other ones had their own situation, and it worked out for what it was.
See, it's nice to be missed.
I know. You technically didn't miss a single show. Technically,
I didn't.
But,
Technically. But I'm technically not even in this show. Really.
Exactly. And yet you were missed.
There you go.
Thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. Yep, the Z Gold, the upload finish for that one. That'll be the pickup video for this week. We'll include that one. That was a big pickup for that collection. So good evening, Michael Ham. And Josh, AEW Rampage starts tonight. Yes, absolutely. Now it's funny though. It's testament. I'll get back to the all thing in a second. I'll pull up the post from Cardporn, but really quick, since Josh mentioned it, it's funny because usually I do the PVR thing, but TSN is the one who has the rights here in Canada, but they're not going to air it on TV. They're going to do it on the streaming platform specifically. So you can go to their website or use the app to see it, which I have, which is not a problem. But in that case, then I don't really need to watch it live because I can watch it on the replay as soon as it's done. So in effect, they did the PVR thing for me, which is kind of handy. But at the same time, it's like, you could just put it on TV too, you know? You've got 5 TSN channels, guys. You got 5 now. Jeez. Good evening, Jeff. Yeah. And what channel it's on is going to depend on where you are. I think it's on TNT in the US. But in Canada right now, it's technically on the internet.
Do they do that for more of a sense of exclusivity?
I think it's the fact that the show literally just started, and I don't think they have a time slot for it right this second. Because TSN is putting some live games on some of that stuff, so it's kind of tricky.
Yeah.
Falsey says Bobby is my hero. They love you, Bobby. So it's a lot of Bobby Brow love this week. Too soon to talk about AC in 2020? Absolutely. The only AC I want to talk about is the air conditioner I wish I had on this floor. All right, so real quick, let's talk about the alt thing. So I've got the post put up here, and I'm going to put it here, and that there was a series of posts. Card porn is a little bit hit and miss depending on what he's talking about. So we're going to... But in this one, this is where card porn is at their best, when they actually are talking about a very specific issue, and they're focusing on it, because they actually did a little bit of digging. So real props to them, because they went beyond the surface. They discovered something, but then they were a little bit more elaborate in some of the subsequent posts, giving a little more information. The short version is it's a browser extension, and it allows you to get some eBay information. So that's important. But what happens, though, is that in addition to that, they were able to check it out. They took a little closer look, and they found out that it had code that would kind of follow you along and pull information, basically information from stuff you were doing on eBay, information, stuff that you were doing on different websites. Now, here, I'll go to here. All your HTML to Alt's backend servers, every single page you visit on eBay.com. So you're getting a lot of information, private messages, purchase history, bid history, account settings, a lot of stuff. Not exactly the kind of thing you want, be necessarily giving away. Now, you had two reactions to this. One was some people who were kind of upset to it. Obviously, there's always people that don't care, but you could have told them anything, and you could tell them their house is on fire, and they would care. But you got the folks who are really, irritated and upset about this and really kind of moved to it. And other people are like, well, a lot of websites do that anyway. Instagram does that kind of thing too, but to a lesser degree. The key is degrees, right? Because if you go and look on stuff on Amazon, I can assure you when I scroll through my Instagram feed the next day, I will see ads for similar items magically appearing in my feed. We know this is true. We know this is the case.
Yeah, Facebook is a big...
exactly.
One of the biggest, I think.
Yeah, and Instagram is owned by Facebook. So it's not a new concept, but Alt is relatively new in this. Let's put it this way. Facebook is kind of a necessary evil. Instagram at least serves a purpose. Alt is kind of just a thing that got some funding the last year or so. And I was like, you have not earned the right to overly invade my privacy.
That's how they got to make money somehow, right?
Yeah. But at least these other ones are doing it through a website, though. This one, they're trying to pitch you to download a browser extension, which is a Trojan horse. Basically, you're just download the thing so that we can directly access your stuff. Now, again, what I said a moment ago, you can decide whether you care about that, whether you feel like that's a big deal or not. That's one discussion. But Alt must have felt it was a big deal because within a day, as soon as they started being called out, they updated the app and removed the code.
Wow.
So it's one of those things. So again, you can decide whether the first part of it is a big deal or not. But if then immediately after someone catches it, you immediately pull back a piece of code and swap it out so it's gone. So are you saying there was a problem? Are you saying that it wasn't something you should have been doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's, like I said, it's the attempt at kind of like covering your tracks a little bit that I think is you look a lot guiltier in trying to cover something up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, at least if you had leaned into it and said, yeah, if you could have gone the route of saying, oh, well, sorry guys, but Instagram does that too. And Facebook does that too. So we were just doing that. It's like, but we hear you. Thanks for your feedback. But they didn't do that. They kind of like thieves in the night, just pulled the code and they're like, yes, don't worry. So good evening, Jeff. Yeah, Alt has some shady stuff already. Absolutely. The owner, I believe, there's some stuff that they've been involved with as well. So it's one of those things where you've got these companies that have gotten a lot of money. They've gotten a lot of investor money. So they sometimes act like they're already established players when they're really not. It's one of those things. These companies are relative. Now, here's what's funny. If you remember last week, I know it's 3 live streams ago, so it might be a little tough. But if you remember last Friday, we had the guy here, I think it was Hobby Champs, that was talking about Alt specifically, if you remember. Mm-hmm. There was that question about Alt. And the timing could not have been worse on that. And then within a week, we're like, so what kind of shadiness is Alt going on over there?
Yeah, exactly.
I had heard of them, but it's one of those things I hadn't looked into it. That was an honest response. I hadn't looked into it. But then this week, it's like, well, now I've looked into it.
Yep.
Here we go. So they just had $50 off during the national if you signed up. Some deals were given it to use when getting comps. Yep, absolutely. Yeah, so this one is, as they say, it's a vaulting service and selling platform. Exactly. So it's one of those things where I don't think it's here's where I'll agree partially with some of the comments. I've heard more egregious things, but it's not good. Let's just be clear. It's not good. It's not, it wouldn't encourage me to trust them. If you something like this, you try to pull a little bit of a fast one. Because think about vaulting. Vaulting is the thing that requires trust too. Mm-hmm. I am sending you my cards. I'm sending you my items, in particular, possibly valuable items. And it's like, what kind of shadiness are you up to? Yes. What other things are you willing to do if you think you can get away with it when no one's looking?
Yeah, it's kind of a bad situation when you're starting off, for certain.
Yeah, and like I said, the owner already has a little bit of a dirty reputation. It's not a clean, pristine reputation in the hobby now. So it's one of those things where it's like there's already some people who kind of do a little side eye and take a look a little sideways when they see him, and then you compound this with this. Mm-hmm. It's not the end of Alt as we know it, but it's another bad look, and you don't want to stack up too many of those bad looks in a row.
Yeah, it's like sort of when a minister of foreign affairs or whatever does something wrong, and they take him down. Then he becomes minister of the environment. They just so he was kind of not good here, and they put him over here, and now he's something new. So
Yeah. So bottom line is that the story itself is not overly complicated. It's fairly straightforward. That's really what it was. It was an attempt at getting a bunch of your data, probably in excess of where a lot of these other ones go. So they went right up to the line and then probably dipped a toe just past that line, happened to get caught, and then immediately backtracked back across the other side of that line. So that's really what it came down to. What I would say is this: if you want to use their service, that's on you, but at least make yourself informed, understand what you're getting into, and if you're willing to trust them with it, do your diligence. That's all I can say about that, and then decide for yourself. I wouldn't download any third-party browser extensions though, especially from something that's that has a chance to collect data. I'd be out on, just in general terms, I'd be out on that. That would be the way that I would approach it. So that was the first one, and the second one was referenced when Chris was on. He mentioned Lamello Gate, so I didn't know exactly what he was talking about. I knew about Lamello, but I didn't know specifically what he was referring to. And thankfully, I did catch a couple of videos on it. But there's Cardporn actually has a good picture that kind of covers the piece that we're talking about. So there's National Treasures RPA coming out, and they have some of the patch cards. And what happened? Is apparently some people started looking at the autographs in it, and they noticed that the autographs look very similar to somebody else's. So let's go over here. So Lamello is on the left, and Miles Bridges is on the right. Bobby, I know you're not a handwriting expert, but can you see some similarities between the one on the left and the one on the right?
Yeah, there's a little bit of something going on there.
The one on the left is a 1 of 1 patch.
It certainly is a 1 of 1.
Yes, it is. So it's like, guys, really? This is what we're gonna go with? Okay.
Wow. Yeah. But I can see that happening. It's very, very similar. Wow. You take the the number sign and whatever it is there. Those two are pretty close. If you're signing fast, you could see there be a mix-up. So the person putting the sticker on must have been that's a sticker, is it not? RPA.
For the one of one, to be honest, no. For the 1 of 1, it should be hard sign. That's actually hard sign.
But the other one's a sticker. So
yeah, I think so.
Somebody just went, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, well, the problem is, though, that there's a whole series of them, and they're not supposed to be in the same pile. Let's put it that way. Regardless of what you want to say, they're not supposed to be in the... If it's a sticker, I could see the issue, but I think from what I'm understanding, again, I've just started looking at it, but regardless, it's like, guys, that's a major quality control issue. That's a very serious kind of error in judgment on that one a little bit. So quickly, I'll get caught up on a couple of comments there about the alt thing here. So the collector is kind of saying what I've been saying. Some folks just kind of excuse it away. They say, well, other people do it. It's like, well, the U.S. government is not alt. Alt is a company it's a vaulting service. You can take it or leave it.
Yes.
You want to it's like, you want to insurrect against your government? Go for it. But that doesn't change the fact that they're two very different things. The government wants to snoop on you. You can be annoyed about it, but you're going to have a much harder time. Alt, you don't have to use their service, and you don't have to download their browser extension. So don't make it easier. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and if you rat them out, then you end up in exile like Snowden.
There you go. So JJ Bama, good evening. And Hobby Champs is here. Which vaulting company has a good reputation? PWCC. That is not a good argument. That is a terrible argument. That never works. Your only argument you have made is that you should use any vaulting service then. That is the only argument you made. If you say all of them have a bad reputation, I agree. Here's the thing. I agree with you. But that doesn't make alt better. that doesn't help alt.
The lesser evil?
Yeah, I was going to say, that doesn't help alt. You're going to have to leave the alt code at home, I'm afraid. Okay, so here. So 357, there's a lot of 1386 Fear Jordan PSA 10s going for 6.5 million. Okay, fair enough. Which platform are they on? It wouldn't surprise me, but I'd be curious what platform it's on. JJ Bama says the ND patches aren't even player worn. Yeah, no, that's a different discussion, but I'm with you. I get it.
13 Jordans?
Yeah, the PSA 10s, yeah.
So we're getting a dump going on.
If you remember, if the joke always was, yes, there's about 300 of them. That doesn't mean somebody doesn't have a stack. Like they can totally have a stack.
But to put 13 in one lot, it just seems like that's a flush. That's a dump. Yeah.
There's also a possibility that they got in on them pretty cheap. So even if you get like at a bulk rate, you're still making a ton.
Maybe.
Yeah, so it's one of those things. Like it's one of the, if you were somebody who bought back when they were like 4 or 5 grand, even if you get like half of the going rate, you're killing it, especially for 13 of them.
Well, he would have killed it a few months ago, so I
Oh
would
yeah.
imagine that they're a little late to the game, so to speak. So I don't think that's the case in that
Well,
situation.
they could have had 30 when they started, Bobby. You never know. They might have already sold the first batch.
An answer we'll never find out.
That's right. So Toa, good evening. So Robert here says they should just list the Lamello as an uncorrected error. I like that. That's solid. A 1-of-1 should be handled by a person, not a machine. Yeah. So this is where it gets interesting because you do have, with the pandemic, traditionally, before, now this is no longer the case. It hasn't been the case in some time. But traditionally, you really wanted, ideally, to have a representative of the card company be the one to certify, yes, this is signed by the player. Because if you're physically in the room with them, you're watching them sign the stuff, and then you take custody of it on the spot, you can then take it right back to your warehouse or whatever, and you can say, yes, we are comfortable that I was there, he signed it right in front of me, I took it, and we took it back. But now nowadays you're going to send it to the agent or whatever, and then who knows what happens. The chain of custody is not well maintained. You really don't know where it went and who got their hands on and who was able to potentially sign it, and that's what creates problems.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so same with real diamonds, they put it in their cards. Yep. I'm less concerned about them putting real diamonds in their cards. For the average person, do you really need a real diamond on a card? It's just for aesthetics. It's just for the look. Dropped in on the MB Auto discussion. Yeah, exactly. Good evening, Victor. Absolutely.
There.
Okay, so 13 PSA 10s on eBay. Okay, that'll be interesting. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody would
On
shill
eBay.
that. On eBay, they'd shill the hell out of that. That'd be interesting.
Everything chill the hell out of it. Doesn't matter where you are, what platform.
Yeah, but if you go to a really high dollar thing, it's like, so 65 million?
Maybe.
650 million? Anyone catch the Retro Hoops Collectibles video today? Torch PSA. He likes to torch PSA quite a bit. And I get his point. I've watched a little bit of it. I didn't catch the specific one, but yeah, he does like to torch PSA a little bit. Golden will buy all the Jordans. I don't think Golden needs them. He's sold his fair share of them.
PSA is only asking for it anyway, so.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Good evening, Ty. Yes, real diamond. Yeah, what your wife may be a different story, but on a card, doesn't matter. On a card, people don't care. I only had a pop 5, 1970 PSA Oscar Robertson. Okay. Boston Kid is the master of the non sequitur. I don't understand where this came up at all. So good evening, Brad.
I don't know.
Yeah, Rick Prodstein had 13 PSA 10 Jordans in Chicago on display. Okay.
Oh,
Interesting. Okay, fair enough. Cool. So Hobby Champs here says, I can't believe Panini is using non-player used game patches and putting it in the wrong autos at $4,000 per box product. Well, if it was a $40,000 per box product, maybe they'd check.
Maybe.
4,000? That's for peasants.
Jump change.
If you put a real diamond in cards, my wife would instantly be interested in the hobby and become a collector. There you go. So maybe count your blessings, folks.
Yes.
Maybe count your blessings. Retro's upset that
PSA anyways.
Maybe. Yeah, Retro's upset that BSA is holding his Elijah on rookies. Yeah. Here's the thing. My take on Retro, I think he's being as honest as he can be. I do think he prefers SGC, regardless of what he says. I do think he prefers it, because he does the analysis of the PSA thing. It's like, guys, it's going to take a long time because PSA has the most ability to send cards out of anybody. That doesn't change the fact that they have a multi-million card backlog. Like, the math is not in your favor. Like, if we reverse it and give SGC that supply, they'll be done in 2147 because their capacity is not as high. It doesn't change. They're doing a good job of what they're doing. That's why I always laugh, because he likes, in the same vein, he likes to praise SGC for the turnaround of his. Well, yeah, because SGC has not been hit the capacity again. They got burned a couple of times, and in this case, even though they're doing great things, and at the National, by everything I hear, people really enjoyed what they did. They didn't do any on-site grading, but they did giveaways. They built up a lot of goodwill. It's great, and I think more people are sending to SGC, which is good for them. But they haven't hit that capacity yet. They haven't had any issues with backlogs yet this time around that I've seen, because if that happened, you would see them raise the price. They already did it once. They would do it again if they actually started getting slammed. So the growth has been organic for them, and they're able to keep up with the ramping, which has actually worked in their favor. It's good for them.
Yeah, so about March of next year should be back to normal.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
Well, if you do the math, you can take it right around about March.
Oh, if they continue at the current rate, then yes. At the current rate, then yes. There you go. Lonzo signed for Zion here. Exactly. Nice. PSA shouldn't have accepted what they did. I hear the argument. The thing is, they've increased the price so much that the stuff coming in, they've got more capacity than that. So frankly, PSA likes money. Like the reality. Here's the thing. PSA came out of the
They
national.
do.
Yeah, they do. But here's the thing. PSA came out of the national, and as part of their discussion, they said, yeah, while we were at the national, our backlog reduced by 100,000. Now it would have reduced faster if they had been all hands on deck inside the thing, but the backlog still dropped. It didn't go up. So I understand the point, but it's like if the backlog stayed the same or if it went up, your argument's stronger. The backlog still went down, which means the stuff coming in was coming in slower than the stuff going out, and they graded the stuff on site, which wasn't then getting sent to them, and those people got their stuff back right away, and they got to make money. So from PSA's perspective, that's a win-win-win. I know the collectors won't be happy with it, but PSA's like, so we made more money, the backlog still shrunk, and we get to say that, which is true, and we made our money.
But they grade 20,000 cards at the show or something like that. I think that was the number.
It was a pretty high number.
Yeah.
It was somewhere in the five figures, and those ones were graded on the show.
Yep.
So they were able to basically turn those right around, and here you go, take your stuff back.
So, what kind of with the grading? A lot of people are talking about there's less chance of getting 10s now for some apparent reason. It seems to be going around a little bit. Do we know anything about that any further? Is that kind of just a...
Well, there's two camps, because every time you listen to that, it's always anecdotal evidence. The reality is, though, is that
the whole thing's anecdotal. You can't do anything.
Exactly.
Like,
You can't. You really would have to count all the grades coming out to properly quantify and compare it to what was going on before, percentage wise.
but one guy did he did an equation where he took what the percentage of what they did graded 10s from this time period to this time period. And so he did a really good breakdown. I can't remember which group it was, which vlog it was, but he did a really good job of it. And he said, yeah, definitely a sizable 20% less 10s and 9s are coming back.
Sure.
Opposed to the earlier time period before they had the slowdown, before they had the whatever.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. It's one of those things, and Michael is covering one of the things I'll get back to, because I did mention this on the channel before. So quickly, I'll go in here. So it says, PSA shouldn't have accepted what they did, and this line of the conversation is, I get the argument, but it's one of those things where, like, did I mention PSA likes money? And people kept sending it, so it's one of those things. Like, look, you have to take some responsibility too. If you can see that a backlog is brewing and the timeline is getting longer and longer and longer, and then you keep sending more and you keep sending more and you keep sending, PSA is sitting there like, we should probably stop this, but we like money. But we like money.
It's a goldfish thing. Keep feeding the goldfish; she'll keep eating.
Yeah, but basically, and this is right. They've pretty much hovered right around that 25,000-30,000 a day, which is, and I think they've had a little more capacity if they absolutely needed it, but they've been sustaining right around that rate, 25 to 30,000. And SGC from last I heard was about 4,000. So there's still a big discrepancy between a lot of these players and turnaround for that. And we'll get to the PSA 10 piece here in a second.
Yeah.
Still about the Oscar Robertson. Are you having a conversation with yourself, Boston Kid? Now I'm curious. I'm legitimately curious.
Maybe it's with somebody else in the chat there.
I did not see anyone else mention Oscar Robertson. Nobody has said one word about it. Anyway, so Robert here says, what PSA did 3 months ago, suspending the service, it should have been done 6 months ago before that. Yeah, but then people would have been complaining longer, because the backlog would have been would be further along, but it still wouldn't be gone. It still wouldn't be gone.
The complaining hasn't stopped.
Well, I was going to say, the complaint's going to happen either way. Here we go. So Michael kind of points out the thing that we talked about before, where it's when they bring in the new graders and they train them, they're going to initially get a lot of quality control checks. They're going to toe the line. The one thing that none of these folks have done when they talk about, it's like, oh, these would have been 10s before. And I always ask the same question, because I can't see the cards. Even if you show me on the video, I can't see from that. My question is it a 10 by the standard that's written? If the answer is no, then yes, you would have. Then I agree that you would have gotten a 10 before. You shouldn't have. The fact that you're now not getting a 10 on a card that is not a 10, I understand why that would be frustrating, where before you had much lighter standards. But if they're following the standard that's written, as written,
as they should have been since
correct
day one.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it's adjusted a little bit since then, but
It could be, but that's where you got to look at the specific card. The question that you need to ask, the question that they need to say, if they see a 9 where they legitimately think before it was a 10, then we need to look at the 9 and really figure out if that's true. If that really is true, that based on the written standard, it still qualifies for a 10, you got an argument. But if it falls short of that, then it's a 9. I understand it wasn't consistent, but it's written. You can look it up yourself and confirm with your own card in your hand, and then you tell us.
so it is said, let it be written.
Yep.
Yeah, it's not like grading is like, people are putting these guys into the aristocracy of this, like, whatever is grading, man. It's not that hard. It really, really isn't.
Yep.
Anybody can be taught in 5 minutes, really, and you just have to tell them the parameters. Once you learn
the fundamentals
all
and the parameters, yes, absolutely.
after
so it
that,
says,
it's like, yep.
yeah. So it says, totally understand the counter argument to retro. In my opinion, they dealt with the delays and backlog too late. That's true. I agree with that. Even before the car boom, they were seeing delays before that. Yeah, that's fair. When PSA opens cheap, they're going to take submissions for a week and shut down again. I don't think they're going to open cheap.
They're not doing cheap.
I really don't think they're going to open. I don't think that's going to happen.
There's nothing cheap. You're going to see a lot of different changes when, because people are building their sets, the set collectors, in the registry. That's going to hurt them the most because the registry guys, they're buying $20, $30 cards. Well, when it's $30, $40 to grade a simple card, then they're going to have to pay $40, $50, $60 a card. It's going to hurt them a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. So here, I think it's safe to say there are less 10s now than per card graded. Fair enough. But now the second part's interesting to me. Also less Star Stock A's. I haven't been tracking that, but that's a separate thing. That's you send it into Star Stock and they're doing their own evaluation. If you're getting less Star Stock A's, why would Star Stock be more stringent?
They're trying to stay parallel with PSA.
Sure. I'd be curious.
Consistency's everything, is it not?
Yeah, apparently. So there you go. PSA will have to fire a ton of graders after they catch up. That'll take a while. Because they won't be anywhere near that amount of subs with a viable bulk rate. That's a possibility, but that backlog's going to take a while to clear, and it's one of those things where I don't know if they necessarily. It's what I said before. My thought process is the people in the set registry is the ones that I would worry about. I don't know if they need to have a viable bulk rate, if they can put a reasonable rate, but a rate that allows you to be like, you're not going to send us everything. Be a little bit picky. Like there is a happy medium there. We'd be like, well, send us a card that's worthy of being sent. Don't send us a $5 card that you're hoping becomes a $50 card. That's stupid.
No, that's smart.
Well, it was when you were able to do it. But if you charge
when you were able to do it.
Yeah, yes. But if you charge them $35 or $40 a card, which is still higher than the old bulk rate, but not like $100, $200, it at least makes you think about it. Make a more clear decision on what you're sending versus what you're expecting.
Do you think people are going to sit there and think that through?
They will when it costs them $35 to do a card that they'll get back $35.
That's the only way to stop them.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So you find the number where it's expensive enough, where the really cheap stuff is pointless, and that gets rid of that portion of it, but low enough where like if you've got $100 or $200 card, then it might still make sense for you.
So you have to say you look at the graded cards that are, let's say $30, $40 right now.
Yep.
Those cards are, people should be buying those because if they're into PSA or set registry, whatever, they should be buying them up as fast as they can because no longer is that price going to be $30, $40 because that will be the grading price.
There's been that argument out there. There's been some folks that have been suggesting that may be a real play. I'm afraid not, Bobby. Not on that one.
Well, I said it before, so.
There you go. Exactly. So here it says, don't expect PSA to drop their prices. They're still money still, but working less. That's right. PSA only gets paid where they grade, so building a huge backlog did not help them make money. No, it doesn't help them make money, but it means the money is banked.
They got banked.
Well, don't remember, they were publicly traded until the Nat Turner and that group bought them. So yeah. They actually included in their distribution to their shareholders, the backlog this is revenue forthcoming.
Guarantee. We know what our third and fourth and fifth quarter is going to be.
That's basically what it was. People found this out like it was this big revelation. I'm like, yeah. When they grade it, they charge you. They send you the bill. Yes. They can count. They can do some math. So good evening, Aussie Card Dad. Yeah, no problem. Okay, so in a way, getting less 10 is a good thing, puts a premium on a 10. Yeah, so what's going to happen, though, is you're going to get both sides, right? You're going to have the folks that really got accustomed and acclimated to easy 10s. The collectors are going to like it because if you get a new 10, it's tougher to get. So it probably is a little more legitimate, probably has better centering. It's probably held to a higher standard, right? The people that have the old 10 and are maybe making less money for it because it's in the old holder, that's probably a 9. They're not going to be so thrilled. You're going to have a bit of a mixed bag. And that was always that was always the counter argument that I gave with the whole 9.5 thing. If you change the grading standard, you're going to render the old one obsolete, and all of a sudden you got a problem with the people that are already holding the old one. Because they're going to yell at you going like, "Wait a minute. I bought this a year and a half ago and now you're telling me that what do I have to resubmit it to make sure? What the heck are you doing?"
Do they grade these?
One can only hope.
No. Hey, it's a slush cat. Max Milk. Come on. 82.
You wait. Nat's going to find a holder for that thing just for you, Bobby.
Probably.
It's going to be a box holder, and it's going to have like a really ugly label on the outside, just for you. Why do grading cards hide how they grade and their scoring system past the 4 main areas? Would love to see the
they
points.
can.
Yeah, it's proprietary. they can hide it from you forever. It's the same.
It's not hiding it from you. It's in plain sight.
The written standard, yes, but the whole the point system though, like the way like how you do the 9.5 versus the 9, like BGS, they've got the subgrades. Trying to figure out the individual pieces, there's a little bit written, but it's not super clear.
But even the subgrades, once you have the card in the holder, you look at the subgrades and you go, "Geez, I wonder if it was edges. I can see, but I can't really." So it's not 100%. You can really see how they got to those subgrades.
Yeah, but you're going to have a little bit of. Let's put it this way: if you're
and
looking,
then you'll disagree with the subgrades because you don't agree with the whole price of the whole grade.
Because you take something like edges, yeah, you can look at edges. So, question: what's the difference between 8.5 edges and 9 edges?
Nothing.
It's going to be minuscule. It's going to be very, very minor at best.
I don't think you can tell the difference.
Probably not. That's what I mean. Like with subgrades,
corners maybe, but edges no.
It helps in a way, but it doesn't help as much as people would think. It just makes them feel better. It's like, oh, we got more information. Yeah, but you don't know how they arrived at the subgrades.
That's right.
It's mildly better, but not like it doesn't fix the problem.
People really don't even care. They're just looking at the numbers.
Yeah.
The higher the number, the better, and it's all good.
Yeah. So Agaga says 20-day orders for November still sitting at PSA. Yep, I get you. JW here says, are the parameters the same for all graders? Absolutely not. I wish they were.
It can't be. Yeah.
Yeah. They've all got similarities, but they do have variations. There's definitely variations. 100%. Even in the stuff they publish.
With the grading part of it. The initial breakdown of the grades. I think we kind of looked into something before, and I came across a few things in the old early Beckett's, but some other previous price guides as well. Interesting how they all had their own little breakdown.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember old baseball card. I remember old baseball card magazines. They actually used pictures, and they had the grades. They would actually have a couple of pages where they do the different grades, gotcha. and they would actually show you a card. It's like, this is an example of the card right around this grade, and then give a little bit of
coins detail. Too.
Exactly. Well, coins, they need it because there's so much variance and things that can happen. You can definitely do the nuance with that. With cardboard, it's a lot tougher. The nuance is way less, more subtle, I would say. Here we go. So sorry to burst your bubble, everyone, but PSA won't be bringing back cheap bulk. Yeah, I don't think it's going to happen. Like I said, set registry will be the only thing.
They may never bring back bulk again.
They may not have to. It's one of those things that may not make sense for them to do it.
Oh.
Yeah. So like I said,
sorry, we don't do bulk anymore.
Here's the thing. I think there. If I sat in a boardroom, I would bet you there could be a strong pitch made. Let the other ones have the bulk. Let them have all the bulk. They can have all the $5 cards in their holder they want. We don't need it.
The Marie Antoinette, let them use bulk.
As long as the higher end cards are selling for good money in a PSA holder, does it really matter?
Not to me any which way.
Yeah. So, like I said, the set registry is the only piece. So I'm leaving the comment on here for a second for that reason. The set registry piece is the only wrinkle in this whole thing. Because if there was no set registry, it'd be really simple. But the set registry is the thing. It is a moneymaker. So, like, they really have to think about that one very carefully. Like I said, I would give the set registry folks some way of submitting at a price that's more reasonable. Because there's good money to be doing it.
That's their bread and butter right there. And it's always been when they came out with that. I remember that's a great way of tracking your cards. But, a lot of people at that time, they had Beckett, they had PSA, they had SGC at that time. So then they all amalgamated back into PSA. It was a great way of getting people back into using them.
Yep. So Master Damas here says $10 and under is 75% of their business. Ultra Modern is the high percentage of their business. Some of the ultra modern definitely falls under that. Most of it doesn't. Because don't forget, we have inflated prices, especially think ultra modern basketball, because they did a breakdown, I think, back in May, and ultra modern basketball was a really high percentage of it. Ultra modern basketball was going crazy for a while there.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't $10 and under.
Mm-mm.
It wasn't. I know they were getting bulk rates for some of that stuff, but it was pushing the edge of the bulk rates because you had a lot of upcharges.
That's right.
It plays right into this comment, the upcharging scheme. It's not morally reprehensible. It's people don't like it because it then leaves it in PSA's hands to decide if you've crossed the threshold. That's the part that people don't like. But is it morally reprehensible? No. You're submitting it to something where they have made it clear that under the right circumstances, we can bump up the price based on these. You agreed to that when you sent it in.
When did they start that? What's 2 years ago now?
It might have been a little longer, but I know it's been a little while now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they have to look at another way of for shareholders. So I told my friend way back. I said they're going to go to half grades, and he says never. Yes, they will never do that, and they did in about 2 years after that.
Of course.
Because
did I mention they like money? I'm not sure if I mentioned they like money.
Yeah, well, when you have shareholders perform
Yes,
that's where all the money comes in. So, but now they're private. Now they just have. Nat's got to buy cards, and boxes, and whatever.
Now, Ozzy Cardet's saying the correct thing. Unless your Daps man tells us. It's all about the Daps man. He tells us to send in cards, even if they're 10, it will break even. Sounds like good advice. It's very true. So, Lou Rock, good evening. I still think a digitally graded 10 will be the new big money cards. It takes human error out of the equation and a new selling point. Okay. Let me have a little fun. Let me have a little fun with this for a second, though, because I've heard this a million times about the whole, letting the machine do it. Okay. I have a question. That is true. But if you let a machine do it, it can use digital enhancement, which means it can find flaws, which means most likely you will never get a 10.
Well, it depends on the human parameters they set.
That's the second part of what I'm gonna. That's the second part, though.
That's what I'm here on the second part.
No, for sure. You're making the second point, though. The first point is if it's doing it purely, there's almost always a flaw, and if you have digital enhancement, you will catch it, which means a 10 will be borderline impossible. So there will be a premium if you hit it.
No.
Yeah, there will be a premium if you hit it because it'll be borderline impossible. Second thing, though, somebody has to program the standard into the machine. Why couldn't you change the programming anytime? You can make it easier. You can make it harder. The same thing you're complaining about now can be done by a machine even more efficiently. So you get your card back, but we can still mess with the standard if we need to.
Let's turn it up to 11.
You can. I like how they trust that, we'll let the machines do it. It's like, they still program the machines, right? It was like
It's
he didn't solve the problem.
Either way.
He didn't solve the problem.
But I heard that don't they have a scanning thing with an app has come out?
Yeah. There's maybe there have been some ones that have played around. The whole Gentleman thing.
It's like
they were working on a similar. Yeah, it's got like PSA bought that company, so it's one of those things like they can use aspects of that to help. But think about HGA was touting their AI. It's not AI. It's digital enhancement. But here's what happens though. Forget about the machine. It's a human grader still. But if you can blow up a card on a screen, a high resolution screen, a really good scan, you're going to find some more flaws and imperfections. So even with the human grader, it actually made it harder for you to get a higher grade because of the digital enhancement. Well, you take a machine that's even more perfect, that won't have tired eyes that day, won't be a little dreary. Maybe it went out drinking last night. Yeah, maybe it went out drinking last night. It didn't quite see exactly everything. Missed a wrinkle there.
Has there ever been a grader that has went in the next day after a Sunday night big football game that went in like half cut from the next morning and ever graded? I would say at least once. I'd like to see those cards.
Almost every scenario is possible.
Sure, all the 10s. Yeah, 10s.
Every scenario is possible. So there we go. Ozzy Gardner said PSA upcharging has always left me with a bad taste in the mouth. Hence why I agree with it. That's completely fair. And actually, quickly, let me just make a quick point about this. You can grade or not grade with anybody for any reason. Like, I'm never going to question if you have a specific reason why you don't like it. You say, the upcharges are not fair. Okay. You don't have to send any cards for grading if you don't want to. Remember, these are all optional services. You don't have to use them. That's why I get amused when people get so mad. It's like, this was optional. You did this to yourself.
Yes.
I know you don't like it, but you did it to yourself, and it wasn't required. You had a reason why you did it in the first place. I don't know what the reason is. It could be because you were planning on selling after. It could be that you wanted it in the holder. Maybe you wanted authentication.
80%, I would think.
It could be, yeah, for sure. So it's like, But whatever that reason is, you decided that you were willing to potentially deal with this issue. The people that sent at the very beginning that got caught in the first wave of the backlog, I feel for them because they didn't sign up for that. But at
No,
this stage, if you're sending something in, you are signing up for it. Whatever it is for its warts, we know it's there. We know it's real.
take that back 9 months, a year.
Yeah. So it's like at this point, like I no longer feel bad for you if you continue to send in whatever at this stage.
I don't think you felt bad for them at any point, but anyway.
That is a fact, but still less so. I'm in the negatives now.
Okay.
I started at 0 and we're going into the negatives.
We're going backwards. All right, good enough.
Yeah. So is it me or did I see a lot of 10s get released? Or is it like, so remember what I said about anecdotal? You will see somebody, I saw somebody who had a PSA submission and they got a stack of 10s. That is not indicative of everybody. I saw somebody else who got murdered. That is not indicative of everybody.
Loch Ness, Bigfoot. Somebody's seen them.
Yeah. So I like this one. ComC turning a corner. My shipment from December 1st has shipped on August 9th.
Wow.
If that's turning the corner, man, we are so screwed.
Have they listed any more dates or numbers? ComC?
I haven't heard anything new. They've kind of kept quiet a little bit. I haven't heard too much from them.
Last time, I guess he was on Jeremy's show there. And after that, it's been kind of quiet. Very quiet, actually. Because I know he was stating, what was it, 25,000 something shipments or something like that.
Oh, yeah. They were
and his
citing certain
eBay. And then we kind of looked at his eBay thing and seeing the negatives, and we're kind of deducting it that way.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me quickly scan here. So the worst aspects of PSA in the grading department is that their Gem Mint 10s can be 9.5s or 10s because they don't use the 9.5 or 10. So slimy companies like PWCC regrade the 10s. So you're kind of combining two things here. PSA has been doing the same 9 and 10 thing since 1991. They're not going to change the standard. They're not going to add a 9.5. And we've talked in the past why it's like, look, if I was advising them, I would tell them, you never put a 9.5 in. Never. Ever. No, because it's too late. You can't do it now. You've got too many cards in the hole.
But it would have been good to do, I think.
At the time. If they had started, BGS started with that. That
Yes,
makes sense. SGC had that intermediate grade. They had that available to them. That makes sense. They started it at that time. Good job by them. Now they can take advantage of it.
Because the jump is too dramatic.
Agreed. 100%. But that's what I say, like for PSA, it's too late. You can lament the lack of a 9.5 till the end of time, but it's too late. And it would be a bad idea for them to do it now. So what new grading companies do you think will sustain traction and stick around? The well-funded ones. CSG has enough money. They should be able to hang in there. HGA,
I don't know.
HGA, the jury's still out for me. They still got a lot of like when you guys saw that video. If you checked out that video, it was a little amateur hour-ish, but they're still a new company. So it's one of those things where they've got some work to do. They need to figure some stuff out.
I've seen a few people trying to bump them a little bit. No, I guess those people who really like them, so they're trying to, up their opinion of what they think of them. Oh, I really like the holders, the color coordinating. That's it. Stops there. I haven't really even looked. I guess somebody has compared them before where they have, two, but it's hard to tell. If you can get a vintage card, I think it's a little easier to tell how their rating is opposed to a newer card.
Yeah, I think it's fair. So let's take a look here. So just like every other gigantic business, PSA will want everything. They'll concentrate on the big money for now and come back for the small money. You know what you could do, though, to do that? You could just buy one of the other players.
That's your small business right there.
No, but you could,
is perfect.
That would be a simple way to do it. That would be an avenue for them to have their cake and eat it too, and then take advantage of the fact they'd have their own operation for it.
Yeah. So if you're listening to that, we need to kick back on that suggestion.
Absolutely. But it would just be, wouldn't it be easier than trying to change your current model and your current
100%.
setup? Just get somebody who already has a facility and has some graders and at least already
Everybody's
has
buying everybody right now anyway, so.
You might as well just go from there.
Yep.
Yeah. So Robert here, if the price goes down, will PSA downcharge? No, they like money. So it's a heads or win tails. Here's the thing though. If the price goes down, are you referring though when you started off at, because I'd like to see what the case study would be on it. If you started off at a high level and the value of the card fell below that threshold, because here's the thing, when you talk about some of the other third-party graders, SGC has declared value tiers too. Most of them do. SGC will get it to you for $30 if it's up to $1,500. But if you try to send in a $2,000 card and try to sneak it in, I don't know what SGC would do because that's the next tier up.
Well, I think we had that question is if you don't know what you're grading, you don't know what it's supposed to grade at. Then how do you know if it's in that $1,500 to $2,000 range?
Agreed. Yep.
It could go 2,500 for one grade, and then it's 1,200 for the other grade. So you're kind of sitting there going, I'd like to pay the 2,500, but I'm going to go for the 50 so I can get a cheaper grade, right?
Now, here's the thing: the way they put it, I would be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if some people try to take advantage of that, because SGC is trying to be the friendly third party grader. No, totally, because they put on here declared value. So I have a question: if I have a 52 tops Mano, can I declare it at $1,400 and get it for $30?
No.
Damn, I thought SGC was being friendly, Bobby.
I think there's that open point where you let's narrow that lane a little bit more and just say, okay, well, yeah, if it's close, but hey.
I was trying. It's like Carlos. No, it's like, what if I thought it was 1,500?
You don't even care if you had the 52 mantle in a nice grade, so it wouldn't matter.
No, but if you're sending it in, you're trying to save some money.
Well, you're going to make enough money on the
you
front
are.
end.
Listen,
hopefully.
Greedy people are still greedy. What do you want from me?
I guess
it is what it is. So Eric here does do this PSA like money? Allegedly. People want their 10s. This is true. They don't want their card deducted for little things. This is true. This is one of the reasons why PSA became king. Also true. I agree on all counts, JJ Bama. I agree. Where digital is most useful is just super clear. Hold on. I'm trying to get caught up on the comments. Guys, you've been doing great on the comments, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah.
Where digital is most useful is super clear surface scan centering. Agreed. And that's why I think that the digital future is going to be digital enhancement to help the graders do their job a little better. Just so they don't have to spend so much time staring at it. If you can get a good clear image, be able to see the corners nicely, be able to check out the edges nicely, it helps you do it a little faster, right? You can be able to clear cut and be like, definitive. Yes. I think I see something, a spot there. Well, if you've got a really good image that's clear, then you can be like, that is a spot. Okay, got it.
So they'd have to have these cards on file so they could compare them, I guess, for centering and what have you.
Ideally, that would be the best. If you could, and if you build up a
otherwise,
database,
you have nothing to go from, really. You can't just, every border is different. Everything's different. So
yeah, absolutely. If grading goes fully auto, they say buy to 10s. Yep. This is actually a good comment. I like this comment by Superbad. So here's the thing. I have noticed recently, because on the PSA app, you have the ability to look a card up. You can do a card lookup. Well, I was doing some checking earlier, and I don't remember the name of it. I'll have to see if I can find it. But on stuff that is submitted at a certain tier, I think it's Express tier or higher. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But there's a certain tier. They will take a scan of your card, a high resolution scan of the card. And what happens is when you scan it on the app, you can actually see the picture of the card in the PSA holder.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so they've started incorporating that for sure. At least, I don't know exactly when. I noticed some cards it's there and some cards it's not. I think it's more recent. But they've started doing that on a certain, I think it's Express tier. Please don't quote me on it, but I believe it is. And they've actually taken a higher, because I looked up a Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I was curious what the pop was. I checked it, and I had the picture at the top of on the app. I clicked on it, and I got to see the card, and it blown up. And it's like, yep, that's the exact same card, same serial number and everything. They actually took a scan of both sides.
Nice.
So I was like, this is good. This is a good thing.
Value added.
Well, apparently it is no extra charge for those ones at that tier. Apparently they do it. They're starting to do it automatically now, that's not a bad thing. It helps you also check it if you're somebody else looking into the card, making sure that the card you see on the scan is the card that you see in the app. If something's off, then that's a good
they've all had issues with their holders. So
long term, that's a good thing.
Yes.
The more that can be done, the better.
It's an extra added security service.
That's a big one. So ComC beats PSA by 10 months in terms of speed. Technically, I don't know, man. Like
the lesser evil, right? It's like,
no, but I was like, the problem is, in order for that to be true, you'd be pushing PSA like 2 years. I know they're slow because ComC is pushing. ComC's been pushing it. So I think I understand your point. I think 10 months is a wee bit exaggerated because ComC's gotten real slow.
I want to see ComC's machine.
I know.
I really do.
I want that video, Tim.
That candid picture. Just somebody. I'll pay big money.
Nice. Put it like a ComC shirt on it. It'd be great. So Michael Ham here says, my buddy's PSA 10 Brady Chrome rookie wallet at the National. Oh, he graded one. Okay. Cost him $1,000 to get the card back. Yeah, I get you. But a PSA 10 Brady Chrome is worth a lot more than $1,000. It is. ComC machine must be doing its thing. Yeah, exactly. Now, here's the thing. I don't know what a PSA 10 Chrome Brady goes for. But again, if you submitted it, like I said, a lot of people have cited SUC. I'm pretty sure that's probably like a $20,000 or $50,000 card. That's going to be 500 to 1,000 anyway for SGC2, because that's a pretty expensive card, especially if it's in a nice grade. That's a 10, so it's going to be somewhere in that range. Probably going to be 500 to 1,000 or even 2,000. Just depends on what they're going for right now. Let's quickly I'll scan here. Do you think PSA is the best grading company? No, but I think they've been the most successful historically over time. Best, though, is almost impossible to say.
It's easy. When you get the highest grade that you didn't think you were going to get, that's the best company.
Yeah, that's the one you'll prefer. But no, I'm saying, though, like, I always question when somebody goes, like, the best. It's like, well, until something changes. Do you know what I mean? Like, something could actually be performing at a level that you want. You're getting the turnaround times. You're getting accurately graded cards and everything. But if something changes, that can quickly flip. That's what it's like. You don't want to camp yourself too hard into one category, because as much love as SGC is getting right now, if they succeed and their marketing goes, and all of a sudden some of the big players start sending them 1,000, 1,500, 2,000 cards at a time, eating up half their day's capacity, but for one person, they suddenly start getting back.
They'll just
That's the solution to everything, right? They already bought a new building.
Did they too?
They went to a new building. Yeah, they were doing renovations on it for sure. When Sports Card Investor came by to do his tour, they were showing around the new building.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I do remember. Yeah.
But like, in all seriousness though, as soon as they do something that gets submissions to go spike, and they get a backlog, and they raise the price, are you still going to be happy about SGC, or are you going to complain about that?
Sure.
We'll just rotate around who we complain about. It'll be like internet service providers. Like, even around here, like when they do that, we got Bell and Rogers are the two main ones. Here's what happens. Somebody goes to Bell, they get furious, they get mad, they cancel and switch over to Rogers. Then they spend some time there, then they get annoyed, they cancel and switch back to Bell.
Where else are you going to go?
But that's basically what happens, is that you end up rotating back and forth. Oh, I'm going to use this other one. You mean the one that's using Bell lines? Or the one that's using Roger lines?
Exactly.
It's the same with cell phones. We do the same thing with cell phones around here.
True.
So we have talked about PSA buying SGC in the past. It's always in play. They do have the funding. It should be a value of the card when the company receive. Hold on. It should be the value of the card when the grading company receives the card, not 16 months later. That's fair. The only thing that would be tricky about that is who determines it. Are you going to put that on the grading company to make that decision? When they receive the card, do they assess the value at that time? And based on what do they assess the value?
I think they can only. I think they can only assess the value once it's being graded. Otherwise, at that point, it could be lost. It could be anything. So I think you have to do it in camera, in the minute, in the time that they're ready to grade. Just because it's in the doors doesn't mean that it's graded yet. There could be a fire. There could be whatever. So I think it has to be more that time period than it would be the other. So my personal thoughts just for that.
Yeah, I get it. So Ty here says, it still amazes me how much the grade counts when buying a card. Yeah, yes, the grade does count when buying a card. Once I've cornered a certain card, depreciates the card by maybe 100. Yes, absolutely. Okay, so real quick here. Michael Ham says, I think the misconception is that everybody who grades a card is selling to make money. No, I understand what you're saying. That's fair. It's not across the board, but let's put it this way. This is maybe the way I would respond to this. If it was only collectors submitting to third-party graders for collecting reasons, there would not be a backlog.
There'd be no backlog.
There'd be no backlog.
But then when the venture hobbyists came in, there you go.
Pen pending? Are we almost trademarked on that? We're getting closer?
Getting closer.
There you go. Good stuff. I like it. So here's a question for you, Bobby. Bobby, do you collect vintage cricket cards?
No, not at all. That is, I don't really even collect or even get into documenting European cards. The odd one from England, but for the most part, there's no historical data that I can rely on. So I don't add the finish, the other, those type of sets. I just don't even do them. I'll leave that to somebody else to do.
Mm-hmm.
So cricket cards that's more European. That's more Indian. That's totally different. Do we even play cricket here?
I'm sure there's some clubs that will do it, but because there are a lot of niche sports.
Like in a professional sense, I know there's.
Oh, in a professional sense, no. In a professional sense, no.
Nothing.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Okay, so here Chavi Champ says, wait, this PSA does upcharge for show grading. Yeah. Yep, absolutely.
How much was it for grading? At the show?
I think it started at like 200 or 250. Yeah, it was like a minimum. And they had a line going hundreds of feet right from the beginning of the show.
Standing in a line for hours at a time, paying too much money to get.
So do you remember what I said earlier where it's like, so they need to change why?
Yes.
Because you'll stand in a line for the privilege of paying hundreds of dollars to grade one card.
Yeah.
So quick, so Brad says, solution, open new facilities in new regions. You mean like Canada? Where you can hire qualified people? Canada?
I think that question was asked of Nat.
Absolutely. But here's the thing. I agree. It would help in a certain way. Because imagine, at least regionally, we're not going to submit in quite the volume that the U.S. does. But we're going to be mixed in with the same group. Again, that won't solve the U.S.'s problem. You know, taking our capacity out of it is not going to fix everything. But it certainly will take the edge off. It'll make it a little bit easier to process. And on this end, you could get stuff processed a little bit quicker. Now, here's the problem. This has always been the thing with this. Because, and I used the analogy before from watch service centers. Because a service center is where you send in your watch to get a repair or to get a polish or to get it cleaned or do whatever. Maybe it's older and you just want it to get it refreshed. They use service centers around the country. They've got different locations. But what happens is, over time, some of the service centers tend to do a better job than others.
Yes.
For the same service. So what happens is, even though I'm in California or even though I'm in New York, if the New York one is doing a crappy job, I will send it to the California one because they do better. So even though you've got all these regional ones, and in the case of third-party grading, it would be, what if the Canadian one arrives? You create a Canadian one. And because the capacity is less, they actually get their stuff back real fast, while the backlog in the U.S. just stays and keeps going. Well, what would keep the folks from Buffalo and New York, even if they have to cross the border, to go in, even if they find like a loophole or whatever it is, even if they try to filter it, and they say, no, it has to be from a Canadian address. You know, they try to filter it that way. Okay, if you're in a border state, cross the border and mail it from there.
Good.
What are you going to do, right? There's
Yeah,
ways around everything.
I think this is maybe talk when they don't have the backlogs anymore.
No, for sure. But I think it would be nice. It would be nice. I know that for us, we would appreciate having the ability to turn stuff around a little bit quicker. Maybe paying Canadian dollars, get it back, and the shipping would be a little easier and a little less complicated. It would be nice.
It'd be very easier for us. For them, more difficult. So on our side, yes, it's easier in every way. For them, it's another pain.
Yeah, but it also cuts down on customs though, because
not for them. They don't care.
Oh no, for sure. But it's one of those things where,
you know how much you have to pay for shipping.
Yeah, exactly. It all comes down to balance. Very true. SCA Sports Cards, good evening. I don't believe they should grade on the value. Oh, they should charge their fee and do the job. Oh, you mean like a flat fee across the board? Yeah, that'd be an interesting conversation.
They did that before. I think they should, for higher tier cards, there should be a flat value of how much, that they're trying to get as much money as they can off of you guys. So
that's why I have so many tiers. So Andy here, good evening. I've submitted hundreds of cards to PSA over the years and never been upcharged once. They aren't super strict about it. That is true. That has been the experience I've had. It's always the folks that get hit with it that you'll hear about from the loudest. But it is true. Like, I've listened to a lot of folks that try to, because remember, the first tier, when the first tier was available, I think it was only like, I think it was $100 limit on like the first tier. It was like a 99 or less, something like that.
It wasn't,
If you send in a $125 card, you never really got hit for it.
And they had specials all the time.
All the time, exactly.
It was never nonstop, every week, every month.
Yeah, but we'll always hear the person who did. The person who got hit with it, we'll hear from them.
Yep.
So Robert here says, so his suggestion here is, grading company says we preliminary assess this card is worth $1,000. I still want to know based on what, but fair enough. So do you agree? And we don't agree you have the right to get the card back without paying?
No.
Yep.
How can you ask somebody to? Do you know how much time would be wasted if I was in business and you sent me stuff and it doesn't work out, and you think my time, how many hours in the day that I would lose?
Here's what would happen in that scenario. They would charge you an assessment fee that is non-refundable.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, yes, we can do that and we will turn it around, but it is an assessment fee and you pay return shipping.
Yeah.
So U.S. minor league cricket just started last month. The U.S. major cricket will start in 2020. Really? U.S. major league cricket. Okay. Interesting. I'd be curious if they could get a network deal on that. So Bless and Breaks, good evening. People always say buy the card and not the grade, but it only applies to collectors. That's true. And it's not like collectors complain about their cards are going up. Some of them I've heard try to complain about it because then they try to buy other stuff and they complain about it. The reality is buy the grade, sell the card. Yeah, there you go. See you in AC. You won't. Cricket is played in Australia, England, India, South Africa, New Zealand, to name a few. Yep, I get it.
Mm-hmm.
Whichever the big,
it's a very strange game.
and they had to make up modified rules to make it quicker, because like the full game like takes a while. It takes a while to play.
You can hit the ball anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It is not for me.
Yep. So whichever of the three big companies opens an office in the EU will get a massive share of the soccer card. Yeah, I agree with that. That's kind of playing to Brad's point as well. There are certain regional pockets that if you could put something there for them, it would just expedite. It would siphon some of the capacity off and take a little bit of the load off the U.S. operations. It wouldn't fix everything, but it would take a little bit of the edge off, and then maybe motivate them to submit more to their regional office.
Yeah,
they might be more inclined if it was easier and it was closer.
Well, like auction houses have different locations as well.
Yeah, so here we go. When they service your Rolex watch, they don't charge you an upcharge because it got nicer. That is true, but if you try to service an old watch, sometimes they will need to do certain parts. They do invoice you. This is a situation where they will send you the invoice and say, this is how much it will cost for us to do these repairs, because maybe it's a vintage watch or whatever. We can do it and we can source the parts and do what we need to do, but it's going to cost extra. This is the total. Are you okay with that? And if you say yes, it's done. Otherwise, you are allowed then to get your watch back, but they will give you an invoice and saying, this is how much it's going to cost for us to do what we need to do here.
Yeah.
So that it is different in that sense, but I get what you're saying.
That's fair.
Yeah, especially for like, sometimes you're talking a lot of money, and if you're restoring an heirloom or something, maybe you're still willing to go through with it, but it can get expensive for some vintage stuff. I got upcharged when I first started submitting through my LCS because I didn't know how to do it myself. Yep, I guarantee the card I got upcharged wasn't a PSA; it was my LCS charging extra. That could be.
Maybe.
Yeah, cricket is the second most popular sport after soccer. I can believe that. It's gonna, but here's the thing. It goes back to kind of. I agree that soccer is a super popular sport. Popularity does not translate into buy stuff.
No.
Sometimes it does, but sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it means, hey, I want to watch said sport on TV. I don't want to buy the cards.
They buy the shirts.
Yeah, that was always my argument with teams, right? Like, oh, Luka Doncic probably has tens or hundreds of millions of fans. Yes, and many of them would buy a jersey or a Mavericks hat or something like that. They don't necessarily need a card.
No.
So, like, the two don't necessarily... There may be some overlap, for sure, but it's not like a one-to-one. That's not how that works.
No. And just because something's popular doesn't mean the cards make them more popular. And people to walk in and look over at cards, and they've never been into cards, and they've been sort of collecting whatever, some autographs or whatever. They've been doing it for 20 years. I know my uncle was collecting Manchester United stuff. Mm-hmm. So I asked him, I said, what do you have? He goes, oh, I really like getting autographs and stuff. I said, what about any cards? No, cards, no. And if they looked at the card values and seen them going up and all these other cards that are selling for tens of thousands of dollars, they sit there and shake their head, go, yeah, well, whatever. Yeah. So,
So the thing is, there's always levels, right?
It's scary.
There's fandom. There's fandom. There are people who are willing to participate to a certain degree. Yes. Then there's people who may be willing to consider buying a card, an inexpensive card. Like, they're willing, like, yeah, I'll take one just to have it as part of my stuff I've got for my favorite player, whatever. One. They don't actually want to collect the player, but they're willing to grab one for their little shrine to their favorite player. That's kind of that low end, but you're probably never going to get them off of that. And I think a lot of folks are thinking, oh yeah, we'll translate it, then they'll collect them. Not necessarily. There may not be a reason for them to want to do that. May be satisfied with just one thing, just a token item.
I think when we had COVID and then the market went up and all that stuff happened at that time, I think that's when the world would have known more about soccer cards or whatever, cricket cards. They just never came. They didn't come. Otherwise, they would have came, because that was sort of the ideal timing for that, to see, because everyone's sitting at home all over the world. They have the internet. Why did they not see it? Because you can't force people to get into cards. And then the markets went a little bit crazy, and they're sitting there going, I ain't paying $5,000 for that.
I agree. Absolutely. So over here says, for him, assessment fee would be fine as long as it's known up front. I'd like to see if they would consider trying it. I think a lot of other people though would complain about the assessment fee. We do know that. Cricket cards will be next year's F1. Live the dream, guys. Live the dream.
Gotta live it.
Curious if so-called lesser grading companies, KSA, Mint, took the risk to open branches internationally if it would move the needle away from PSA
I'd like
at
to
all.
see his guidelines.
I know, right?
Nathan,
The guidelines are it's a card. KSA 10. Woo! Okay, as I said yesterday, F1 and cricket better happen. The Westminster Kennel Dog Show. Imagine pulling a Lassie Superfractor.
wow.
Hashtag invest, guys. Hashtag invest. Soccer's played in a lot of countries that don't have first world money. Yes, that is true.
Exactly.
Tried watching cricket, then stopped trying to watch cricket. These are facts.
But see, we grew up with cards in North America,
Yeah.
England too.
Yeah.
But and Europe a little bit, in Germany and a lot of different other countries. So we've had that nostalgia inbred through us over the years, the decades, or our parents, or we saw somebody collecting cards, and the cards came through. They're starting from zero over there, and it's just like going forward. How do you go forward? It's very hard. That inertia is really hard, and it would have happened, like I said before, but I just don't see it popping because the money goes really fast. Because he's saying cricket's the next F1 of next year. Yeah, okay, sure.
It'll be
if you can get the
here's
people to
thing.
buy it, that's great. But
Yeah, my point is that it'll be that if if F1 gets more expensive and they suddenly realize they need to shift to a different thing, then sure, then everything's fair game. Then my Prism bowling dream may live.
oh, possibly.
Just
My
letting you
Ricky
guys
Bobby
know.
collection's looking good.
It's looking good, guys. Looking good. So Aussie Card Dad, I much prefer AFL over cricket nowadays. I agree. AFL is awesome. Do enjoy me some Aussie rules football. Good times. Sapphire cricket cards, now 1K per box. Love it. Robert here says, Bobby, soccer cards value have blown up. That's true. The question is sustainability, because it's like, so do you want it because you like soccer, or do you want it because it's making money?
Yes.
There's a lot of money to be made right now in soccer. This is 100% correct. This is
Yes.
a fact. This is a fact.
But how do you get those people in at that level when they've never really been in it?
Yeah, I need to see it pass, because right now Robert is 100% right. I'm not disputing anything he said there. The question I have is why. Why were you not interested in soccer cards before? Because they didn't invent them recently. They've been around a while, in different iterations. Sometimes they were stickers and stuff. Back in when you look at some of this Pele stuff, some of it's stickers, some of it's this other obscure stuff. People didn't care.
Scanland.
Yeah. People didn't care. And Pele, for some folks, is the greatest of all time. People didn't care for the longest time. They care now, but
Yes.
they didn't care forever.
So
When he was in his prime, they didn't care.
They're historic.
Agreed.
So going forward from today, it's retroized. It's not
Correct.
historic.
Yeah.
So there's only how many Pele cards? It can't be too many vintage, like 5, 10 maybe.
Yeah.
If you're lucky.
And my point with the soccer thing is, it's like they were fans of soccer back then. They were fanatical. They were. If you go back in those heydays, in a lot of the World Cups and stuff, those fans are rabid. They were monsters. You can't say they're not fans. They're rabid, insane fans. They didn't care about the cards. They didn't care about the stickers.
Yeah, in England, they like their pints better than they like their cards. $5,000 for a card? I am nuts.
Love it. I like the way the refs show scoring in the AFL. Agreed. Kin, good evening. I'm a dog guy. I'll be PCing pit bulls. Go for it, Kin. Live the dream. There are 3 forms of cricket test matches, which are played over 5 days. Yeah, I knew it was something like that. 1 day, 50 over cricket, and 2020 cricket, which is a streamlined version. I knew they had, but think about that. You had to come up with a streamlined version
Yes.
to make it like more manageable, because a 5-day game is an ordeal. That's not enjoyable to me, regardless of what is going on. And he encourages as you can. Beautiful. Here we go. East Coast USA first, and look at other options when the dust settles. Yeah. I think we all agree that there is an argument to be made for the model and trying it. It might be worthwhile. Yep, before 3 current rescues. So okay, just talking to Andy, got it. Soccer will drop after World Cup next year. Enjoy the ride. Yep, the World Cup is certainly helping. So Brad here says maybe even separate TCG grading from sports cards. I wonder what percentage of the backlog is TCG. I would like to see, what I would love is I'd love PSA to run a couple more of those, give us a little bit of a breakdown, a little bit more. They've done it from time to time. but I would love to see it with consistency, that breakdown from them. I'd like to
Yeah.
get their numbers directly because people can extrapolate from population reports. That's what Retro Hoop Collectibles have done. But I'm
Yeah.
like, PSA, you have the answer to this question. Just give me the correct answer to this question.
Yeah, a couple ding ding ding. What is it?
Yeah.
There it is.
And by the way, you could do it as a percentage. You don't have to be specific about the number,
No.
but just give us the breakdown. What's the breakdown on this? So most people buying soccer cards cannot name more than 10 most popular players. Yeah. And that's problematic for long-term sustainability of the the hobby in that section.
Maradona, Pele. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. So the one ridiculous thing about PSA is the review service. If you feel they've ungraded your card, you can send it back and get it regraded, but it costs the same. Yep. Hashtag PSA likes money. I had 1990s Pro Set Soccer. I just wanted the cards even if the sport bored me. At that point, you have an addiction, kid. It's like, I just wanted the cards.
Yeah, but it's a cheap addiction at that point. So.
At that, for Pro Set Soccer, I agree.
Sure.
I agree. Although mining cricket nowadays is in India. It's religion over there, but it's a very poor country not collecting cards.
No.
That's valid. They are very passionate about it. There is no doubt about that.
Oh, yes.
Soccer cards. Genie's out of the bottle. It'd be like saying the 52 man will go back to 1980. The genie is not out of the bottle. The genie was never in the bottle. The sport is what it is.
It is.
I love how it's like, guys, soccer's going to be popular now. It wasn't popular before. I was under the impression it was extremely popular.
It's very popular.
It's been popular for a very long time.
Yeah, it's the largest sport.
Yeah, but it's been like that for a long time.
Yeah.
But Robert's got the genie out of the bottle, so there you go. Moving on. It may be Robert 52 Mantle is exactly his rookie. Nice, exactly. Yeah, I think I'll hear the argument, but it's always been very interesting because, like I said, the popularity. I will never dispute the popularity. I've literally never said that soccer's not popular. I agree every single time that somebody says soccer's popular. But then when they start saying translate the card, I go, I'm gonna need some time to prove that out. I don't care what it's doing right now.
You know, England's been documenting trading cards since 1922. They've had a society for I think they call it Cardophilium. In 1922 it was established, and they documented every card from that time period. The cards aren't worth very much because they mass-produced them. They were really only for England. And the unfortunate part is when you document everything from day one up, there's no questions. Everything's been done for you. So there's no mystery. There's nothing to hide. And the soccer cards, I'm sure they did a lot of sets, but they just haven't done anything over there. And England's a big soccer nation. That's for sure. So I don't see it going anywhere from beyond. The cards will be great. I think there'll be more investors coming in looking at that, making soccer better. But I don't see the other people, regular people who are so-called collectors getting in, unless they want to buy the old Scanlon sets that have some old Maradonas or something in it for them. So.
Well, I saw in a second. I'll grab one of Robert's comments. He was trying.
Sure.
He's trying to cherry pick a little bit, but I'll have a little fun with it.
All right.
So Ken here says soccer, America's sport of the future since the 1970s. True. He says he means soccer collecting. We'll get to that in a second. Soccer is popular, but not in countries where they're collecting cards. Very true. So here's what Robert says. Let's talk in 5 years. Try to buy a Pele. You don't get out of it this easy. I don't care about Pele. In 5 years, I want to hear about Mbappe. I want to hear about the younger guy. Pele's Pele. My mom loved Pele, and she doesn't watch any sport. But when the World Cup was going on, she knew who Pele was. Like, that right there is, again, we grew, like, I was born in Latin America. I was born there, and it was religion, soccer. But you could drop a drop of soccer cards, and everybody would walk by and ignore it. They don't care. They want to see the soccer game. They don't care about the soccer card.
They care about the sport, not about the collectible nature of the sport.
Put it on,
maybe
put
jersey,
it on TV, everybody will watch.
Sure, the Royal shirt, a hat.
Yes, sure, yeah.
But it isn't there. And when you try to make something there, you're just pushing the envelope. And then it's just for money at that point when it becomes just the investor side of it. And the collectability is gone at that point. So you might as well just join the stock market and have fun.
Yep, absolutely here. So Robert, collecting, will work, but doesn't make all soccer cards of players popular. Yep. Educated guess from Brad here. 30% of the backlog is TCG. Okay, that's fair.
And the biggest problem soccer will have is because in other countries they call it football.
Football?
And it screws up everything when it comes to North America. So, are you collecting football? Oh, yeah. I got my football guys. No, soccer. Oh, football, soccer. What? Exactly.
But I was under the impression that the best football player is Tom Brady.
If you say football and goal, you're okay.
Yeah, exactly. So your Pele, wasn't that an Atari game? It might have been. Player people. By the way, there were a lot of unauthorized Atari games, so there could have been a Pele game that we don't even know about until later. People who don't even know soccer know who Pele is. That's very true. So here's where Robert kind of moves the goalpost a little bit again. Ultra modern is the junk era in soccer. I stay away from anything posted. So if there are new collectors, you want them all to collect everything older than 11 years ago and ignore anything new. Well, that's a great way to build up a young collector base. I don't know who this guy is. He doesn't play anymore. Oh,
There's an investor base. So
well,
there you go.
that's my point. Is that here's the thing: you don't have to collect modern, you don't. But the younger kids in the market, we like collecting players that are contemporary to us. There has to be an element of that because even when Bobby was young, he wasn't. At some point, there would be vintage cards available, and the possibility of that stuff, it was out there. But a lot of times, you can initially cut your teeth on the players of your era. That was usually the starting point.
We all do.
So for me, it was a lot in the 90s. So I have an extra fondness for players that played in the 90s because that was the main era that I was watching the game. That doesn't mean I ignore the modern game, but at the same time, I'm not as in touch with the modern game. It's hard for me to go and figure out, the lineups beyond the absolute top of the depth chart. Like I have to go back. I know who the main players are, but I'm not watching enough games anymore. I just don't watch barely. In baseball, I'm a lot more familiar because I'll watch a lot more. Football, I'm watching the game so I can be familiar with it. Great. But I can name lineups of old Dallas Stars team from the 90s way easier than I can name the current team. I have a much easier time because I have that memory from all the times I was watching the games and enjoying the games.
And my era was basically the 70s, I'd say. Yeah. You know, by the time you're out of high school into university, it kind of drifts off a little bit. But I still watched it through my 20s, which would have been the 80s. So I did watch a lot of those games too.
Mm-hmm. Right. So
I wasted a lot of time with the Leafs there. Yeah.
So just like the standard measuring system instead of the metric system, there you go. So Messi and Ronaldo are GOATs and they're still playing. Yeah. I'm not saying there are guys that aren't playing. My point is the bulk of them. Because here, Robert says the same thing. It's like, guys, you can't cherry pick specific players. I'm happy for you. Gordie Howe played in like 6 decades. And everybody knows who Gordie Howe is in the game of hockey because he transcended, that element of the sport. But kids that grew up in the 70s might have gotten to see a little bit of Gordie Howe at the tail end there, especially if they got access to the WHA. But by the early 1980s, their knowledge of Gordie Howe, and Gordie Howe played a little bit into 1980, but their knowledge of Gordie Howe would have been very limited. And they wouldn't have known the Gordie Howe of the 40s, 50s, and 60s when he was dominating the sport.
No, but he was carried through. Like a lot of those
Absolutely.
stars, like Bobby Orr, Gordie Howe,
Yeah.
Hull, Richard, they kind of carried through. Actually, it's surprising how many collectibles were made even after their time period.
Yeah.
Because everyone says, well, he must have been playing there. It was 3 years after he finished playing because he was such a great player and everybody still loved him. Why would you collect something Gordie Howe after he retired after 3 years? Well, they made it.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Because we only had limited media. So at that time, if you had Gordie Howe, that was a big star at that time. One of the old guys that your parents liked that you would know and a little bit. And
yeah.
But now it's just, wow, everybody, everywhere, everything. So.
No, that's fair. So current soccer collectors also want shiny cards. Vintage soccer cards and stickers were for the most part not nice looking cards. Yeah, they did hurt on the aesthetic side of it a little bit too. They weren't super exciting.
No, true enough.
Yeah, so Robert here says to keep players that carry any sports card collecting. Yeah, I get you. But at the same time, it's like, that's not enough. You can't carry the entire genre because we've already said it multiple times. A lot of the biggest fan bases, the strongest fan bases, are in places where, great, if the card's over $10, I can't afford it. So it doesn't matter. Because in those countries, they just don't have the money. And in the countries where they do, yeah, I know who that is. You want to buy this card? Not really. What do I need that for?
Cheap.
Yeah, exactly.
17,000.
Exactly. I know who Gordie Howe is because of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Very nice.
Shiny.
Yeah, but that's the reason why I say though. Like, the reason why I made the thing with Mbappe is that look, I don't know enough about Mbappe to say whether he's good or not. But I know he's the name that's thrown out there. But if you're a kid who's super into soccer, then you probably know who Mbappe is. You can tell me all about it because you're gonna know. You're going to know. The good news is that then for that kid, if they can open something contemporary, they can pull Mbappe. Mbappe's young too. So if you're young, you can then enjoy your Mbappe fandom for years. For those players who are still around that are all-time greats, yeah, you're going to appreciate it, but it's not the same.
Aren't those bosses expensive? Even
No, this is an across-the-board problem with sports cards now in general for new stuff.
Yeah.
But if you are able to, then you're going to be excited. It's going to be some fun for you.
Sure.
But there has to be some connection to this current, and then maybe as you build your appreciation, you will also appreciate the historical figures. You'll appreciate the greats that are.
You'll get to know more by default.
Because you imagine somebody who's a baseball fan in the early '80s, who's just starting in the early '80s. You know who was still playing? Nolan Ryan was still playing. You still had Tom Seaver still playing, but those guys were at the tail end. They were their greatest days. Now Nolan Ryan, mind you, played forever. He played into the early '90s, but for a lot of these guys, they were winding her down. Steve Carlton and those guys, all-time greats, they were winding it down, but they were still around. They were still playing. So it's like it's a little bit of both. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So here we go. Europe is full of rich people. Yes. They don't all need to buy soccer. They weren't buying soccer cards before. Why do they need to now? We still haven't fixed the problem that they don't actually need to buy the cards.
They want to buy Mercedes-Benz.
There's so much better stuff to spend money on. Sorry, with due respect, that this is a sports card. Like, I would not recommend. I would tell them don't buy cards. Spend your money on better things.
Caveat?
Sure. Heaven forbid, don't buy soccer. Jesus. Asians love. Again, you keep trying to find. Don't stop trying to make fetch happen, Robert. They've also had money for some time. They're buying expensive watches.
Ooh.
So is China. There you go. The Whalers moved Gordie Howe to the front office in '81. For the next 3 years, Gordie Howe kept his hockey gear just in case they needed him. Yeah. Yeah. Here we go. Pete Rose. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we say gambling somewhere in that?
Probably. Yeah. So Robert here is like, no one needs to buy cards. Yeah, that's literally what I said. So, but you're telling me a bunch of people who don't need to buy cards and didn't before now are going to buy cards when they still don't need to. We still haven't established the connection. The soccer fandom's already in place. That's been in place for a while. The European countries and those Asian countries where they got money, they had it before. So why are they buying the cards now? I missed that part.
Fandom is and the card market are two different things. I think there's a lot of great fans. I think when I did mention the hobbyists, the venture hobbyists, those are the guys who like sports, but they like making money more. Those are those people. There's nothing wrong with that word at all. It's actually, if anything, it's a compliment. Those people, they enjoy their sports and they want to, get things graded. They want to, turn and burn. Those are those guys. And that's a lot of the marketplace where people are going. What the other people are going, where they're sort of collectors, but they're investors too, because what they buy, they actually by default have to sort of invest in. And then you have the other sense of vintage collectors, which are almost a different breed. A lot of baby boomers, a lot of people your age, Carlos.
There you go.
Who grew up opening packs at $1, or something. Yeah,
they were good. They were good times. They were good times.
They were simpler and easier, sure.
Yeah,
financially.
Hey, look, I liked when I could get a box of tops for like 30 for 30s. I think it was 36 packs. I want to say it was good times. So the awareness wasn't there for soccer. There's more awareness now. I'm going to hope that for your pumping of soccer cards, because it is pumping at this point. I hope you're buying cases of it. Yeah. Now, you said it's before 2010, so I'm sure there's some pre-2010 stuff that I hope you're buying by the bucketful. I'm just not going to get behind this. I'm willing to revisit it in 5 years, and then we can talk about it. I'm still not buying it.
What boxes were you buying that had 36 in it? What year was that? Remember, they went from 36 to 48.
No, I'm talking baseball. Topps baseball.
Yeah. Oh, well, O-Peach.
Yeah, I don't think Topps O-Peach is different. I'm talking about Topps baseball.
All right, 36 then.
Yeah, I think it was 36, yeah.
I'll let you go with 36. 24 or 36, that's all they had.
Yeah. So football NFL is the biggest spectator sport in the U.S., but third in card market. Yeah, that's fair. But it is, it's got the U.S. market, but internationally it doesn't have a lot. There you go.
Soccer or football?
Yeah, exactly. Football. Ball. Soccer card trend is all about the U.S. It's a shiny new thing. The rest of the world, not so much. Yeah. Yeah, they would have been collecting by now. Well, at least you acknowledge it.
Thanks for the accent for differentiating.
It's not the same, Bobby. There's a U. There's a U in it. You have to get it
Yes.
right. Football. That's for the
That's
uncouth masses. That's
of
trash.
course.
That's
Yes.
trash. The sophisticated say football.
Yes.
Put a U in there.
Yeah.
Well, as long as you're pumping soccer, Robert. At least that's important. That's key. Good stuff. So, question, guys. And I genuinely have. I don't even remember how we got on soccer.
Boy,
How did we get? We
it
got a
started
lot
with
of mileage
cricket.
out of it.
Actually, it started with
Oh
cricket.
yes. That's right. Look,
Cricket
credit
is the new
to you.
F1. Soccer's the new. We don't even know what soccer the new is.
Lord knows. But by the way, credit to you guys in the chat. You have sustained it. Like I genuinely, I don't even know. I'm the only lad who doesn't even like soccer. Like I can't watch the damn thing. It's like watching paint dry to me. But bless those who do. Bless those who do. So here, Top Scrum Baseball Hobby comes out next Friday, but eBay has blasters in the hand for sale. Yeah, for sure. NASCAR is the biggest spec speeder sport. Yeah, and I think there's some folks who think there's some folks in the same anything that is popular now. People assume if we put it on a card, it'll sell, and it might for a couple of iterations. What I'm curious about is once we get past that first wave, once we get past that first series of releases, and we get to the second series of releases, the third series of releases, is there enough oxygen in the room to sustain it, or do you run out immediately?
And I get that. I don't understand why does it have to be on cards? Why? You're trying to create a marketplace for people to buy stuff at outrageous prices and get it's taking it to a place that it really shouldn't be. It should be organic, a little bit more organic.
Yeah.
People like the cards, they'll pick them up, they'll go up naturally. But everybody wants to get everybody in. The more people we get in, the better it is. And the more market, the more this, the more money, the more. That's all you're in for. Well, happy venture hobbyisting.
Well, the thing
Hobbyisting, does that work? Yeah.
That's a real stretch. We've stretched the English language about as far as we can do on that one. We've almost transcended. We've crossed the line.
I'm trying to use it 3 times in every show. So
it's like alt. It's like alt. Delete.
Control Alt Delete.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I was going to say one of the things that I think is funny is that, and I understand why. I do get it. But one of the things that was always funny, speaking to your organic piece, is that a lot of these sports built their fan bases originally organically. And we see where we ended up, and we just assumed that we snapped our fingers because like I'm a big baseball guy, but part of that means I like reading baseball history, a lot of the old books on it. But if you go back then, you had the games. As soon as you started those professional leagues, like it was small. Your stadiums were not stadiums; they were parks with some benches. But what happened is, as you started developing some of these things, the revenue came when people started showing up in enough numbers, and then somebody goes, well, what if we build another set of stands? What if we build another set of stands? What if we build another set? We didn't start off with a 50,000 seat stadium. We had to kind of work our way to it over time. And eventually, you got the first stadiums, but they were very rudimentary, very basic. A couple of grandstands, not too much going on. Then you slowly developed it. And as time went on, these stadiums got bigger. By the time Yankee Stadium was built in the 20s, it was the biggest stadium in all of major leagues. It was the house that Ruth built, but it had become a whole thing. But it took a while to get there.
Yeah.
It took a while. It wasn't like you snap your fingers and you're there. It was like, no. So now whenever you've got
cards were out in the 20s all the way through.
Absolutely. But when you start creating these new leagues, they try to jump to, and then they wonder why sometimes new leagues struggle. It's like, well, because you haven't developed a fan base. You can't. The fan base doesn't just grow out of the ground in 5 minutes. It actually takes a little while to develop. That game, Major League Baseball exists today because of the foundation of what came past, and then generations preceded and continued it. Baseball as a sport is probably going to die at some point because they've gotten away from a lot of what made it work, and it's also a different generation, and it hasn't been handed down to the same degree.
No, exactly.
But bringing it back to this discussion, though, these sports can already be popular, but kind of playing to what you were saying, the fan bases for card collecting was never established. No. It was very niche in small pockets, and it just hasn't spread. The money has helped, because what's really happened is that some folks see the money, and now we're interested.
I'm going to segue off of that into sort of the packs. Growing up, we could go to a corner store, there'd be a counter display box, you buy a pack. Today, you can't. You have to go to your LCS, or you have to order it online.
Sure.
So it's not out there in the public. It's not in the public eye, really. Because when you talk about this explosion that we went through, it was on the TVs. That's how people really found out. Otherwise, everybody's still doing their own thing. I told my brother-in-law, and he's into comics and stuff, and he goes,
Yeah.
"Cards are going crazy, really?" And I went, "Yeah." And I thought and he collected cards as a kid growing up.
For sure.
So if the masses, it's a small bubble, the masses really don't even know what's going on unless it's organic. So, a guy goes in for a pack of chewing gum, he sees a pack of cards there, he can pick it up. But no longer can they do that because they can't keep them on the counter because they're $80 each or 150. Who's going in for a pack of gum and I'll get a pack of cards for $80? Sure.
Yeah. The other thing is that what's going to occur in a lot of these cases is that people are going to get out of the habit of associating a lot of that stuff, because some people are going to look at some of these because if the goal is to be profitable. I was listening to a podcast. I think it was Lucas Tigers and Brown one, and they were talking about and making the pitch for companies like collectible and fractional ownership. But his argument for fractional ownership was that, well, if you're here trying to make money, this is actually easier because the flipping is all electronic. You get rid of the need for the physical, tangible item. And this is a sports card podcast pointing out, like, well, yeah, if your goal is specifically making money and flipping, this is functionally easier.
That's NFTs.
Yeah, but that's what it is. And the thing is, his point, if your goal is to flip something easier and reduce the amount of friction to make more transactions and make more money, yes, it would be easier to do it that way and get rid of the shipping and out of the entire equation.
Yeah, I just looked this up. The definition of a hobby: an activity done regularly in one's leisure time for pleasure. If we take, I think they're going to have to adjust that word, that definition, because it's certainly not that anymore in this newer world. So I think we better call Webster's and get them to fix that. But it's done leisure. I like making money in my leisure time. Yeah, but I don't think it really means that.
Yeah.
If you want to make money in this hobby, that's fine. Enjoy it. But trying to get people into sports why should they get into? Buy cards for what reason? They've been watching soccer for 50 years. Why do they want to buy a card at $5,000? Because you can make money. That's it. The emotional strands of that have really stretched way too far, and now people are into grading, as we talk about PSA and how high and how much, and that's everybody wants to make some money in this hobby. I get it, but
so you're saying hashtag we like money?
Hashtag we.
It's not just PSA.
Well, I think they like it more than we do.
Oh, listen, their passion for money is not to be denied. It's not to be denied. So quickly, I'll get caught up on the comments here. But hey, guys, really good comments. A lot of them, too. I'm very impressed. So here, Ozzy Card says, if we weren't buying soccer cards when they were a fraction of the price, they're not going to now. I'll get caught up because there's some replies to some of this stuff here. Yes. Bumper Pool, the billiards game. I'm familiar with it. Not too familiar with it.
I buy those cards.
Oh, there you go. Interesting. Not for TV. I'm not sure about which comment that was referring to. I can't watch soccer or the flopping. And then there's a LeBron joke coming up, too. I saw plenty of flopping by LeBron. Made in playoffs. Yep.
They can make special cards, like for those guys who took that, kick in the head that really didn't go in his. Anyways,
yeah,
you know how they go.
What I would love is phantom fouls. That should be an.
That would be awesome. Yeah,
like it's like the foul that you can see the guy's hand is like 2 feet away
for it.
Yeah, phantom foul. Absolutely. There you go, Panini. You're welcome.
Look.
I expect some remuneration. I already said we'll sell out. So
it'll be lenticular, so you see the shot before and after.
Oh, I love everything about it. We have 100% workshopped a great insert.
And who wants to invest?
That's a case hit right now. Hashtag invest. So a collector here says football fills 40 to 60 case hit. You're going too low, man. I think the low end for NFL now is like 60 or 70. Interesting thing though, if you guys are football fans and you're interested in football, not football, I'm making distinction. Very important. But if you are fans of, go back and look at some of the historical NFL franchises though. The reason why I kind of enjoy going in is that the history with the Packers, Lambeau Field was basically is been on the same ground for quite some time, but it's gone through multiple iterations. The stadium steadily got bigger. It didn't start off like that. It started off substantially smaller on the plot of land, but then they steadily made it bigger and bigger and bigger. And they actually have dug down to allow for more seating and all that. But it's basically on the same plot of land for a very long time. So you could see the development of all the iterations of the same stadium, indicating more people being interested and being able to put more people in the seats over time.
Organic growth.
Yeah. And it always made sense. They did it in a way that they didn't jump to try to fit 100,000 people in there. It took time for them to develop and get in that direction.
Spending 60K at the National Card Show. Another one from Card 2 Collector.
Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to get caught up here. So Robert says here, before 1980, all sports card collecting was extremely marginal hobby. Kids bought cards and threw them against walls. Yep. I watched an interesting video of the cities that host the Olympics and how many of the facilities are not abandoned and unused. All that wasted money. Olympic Stadium was not a waste. It only took them 40 years to pay for it.
Took you and me and everybody.
We all contributed. As far as I'm concerned, I own part of that derelict.
So you're a fractional owner.
I know. Can I have my piece of debris?
Maybe.
Jerks.
You'd have to pay for that, though.
Probably. So here we go. So I'm an F1 fan for a long time. Fair enough. And Topps released F1 cards, got me collecting F1 cards. This is good. So you're that guy. So congratulations. Focus more on collecting all-time goats. Completely fair. Absolutely. No, collect what you. If you enjoy it, go for it. Please do enjoy. And I hope I hope you have fun with it. And I hope you find the cool cards that you enjoy. Like I'm never going to knock that. You're a legitimate F1 fan. You're enjoying the F1 cards. Congratulations. I'm happy for you.
I like collectors.
Yeah, absolutely.
The investor sides, I like them too, but it's not a part of the hobby. It's a different gig that it's turned into. And I think that's the part that differentiates me from them. I enjoy collecting stuff. I pay for it. Whatever money I pay for it, it has no meaning of the money after that. It's an investment into my viewing pleasure. Mm-hmm. Anything that comes back after the fact, okay, but otherwise, it's lost money to me.
Yeah,
that's the collecting side that I have, and everybody has a little bit of a different thing. And I understand, I bought a Gordie Howe way back, and yeah, thank God it went up.
No, absolutely. I'm just checking something here.
We all collect for different reasons, so
that's fair. So I know Robert's talking to Aussie Card Dad. They're doing back and forth, so that's fair. This one's a question for you. So Bobby, why should they buy any $5,000 card any sport? You're the first person I would ask this question to.
Who's they?
I don't know.
Well, I had that question before.
Yeah.
The question was the 555 question. In the last 5 years, have you spent $5,000 on any 5 cards? Mm-hmm. And most people, I think 99.9% of the people in the chat would say no. I don't think anybody even responded when I asked that question.
Sure.
I don't know how many people we had watching, but any which way. So that is the question. Why would anybody, and that just means that the lion's share of the hobby is really run by the upper tier. So you're letting the millionaires make the decisions for you, really. They're gearing your market. That's the truth of the whole matter. That's fact.
Yeah. And I did pose kind of this side question as well, though, because one of the caveats I gave as part of the response to it as well is that I haven't needed to because my specific collecting needs don't necessitate it. It would be different if, like, let's say there was like a Grail level Medano card. It doesn't exist, but let's say there was a Grail level Medano card that necessitated $5,000. The question would be then, would I try to make that happen? Under those circumstances, I would.
And
with the understanding
90% of the people probably would say the same.
Yeah, if I needed to for my collecting purposes.
But see, most people don't have that collecting purpose at 5K.
Yes.
And most of the part of the hobby that's sort of talked about between 90% of the blogs is over the 5K mark, guys. So all the other people that are under the 5K, let's talk and get together and say, hey, we're 95%, and why are we caring about what's going on up here when we should be really at this point? Mm-hmm. They want to see that go up, so this will bring theirs up. I get the whole thing, but that's not collecting, that's investing, guys.
Yeah, I think for most, the beauty of it is that I think for the average rank and file collector, there are very few that are collecting something that would necessitate that. It's not. That's the reason why I was very clear with my caveat. It's still difficult. It's not like I could snap my fingers and make $5,000 appear out of the air. But if it's an understanding that that's what it's going to take, then I would plan accordingly. I would plot my way to be able to be in a position where if the opportunity presented itself, I could do what I needed to do. Fortunately for me and my collecting purposes, it has never been necessary. There are very few cars that I would be interested in that are required in that price point.
True, and you want air conditioning and heating in your place, and 5K. That's
going to cover the bulk of it. Yeah.
So you sit there and you have to balance out what is more important at certain points. I get that everybody's at different levels, for collecting. And the guys who have multi-million dollars, obviously they're buying hundreds of $1,000s in cards. If they do like cards, that's fine.
And in their
most of us
position,
here,
in their side of it though, if you are a multi millionaire, a 5,000 or 10,000 or 100,000 is in relative terms the same as me spending $100 on a card.
basically.
Not so bad. Like it's well within my means and capability. And yeah, sure. If it's something I'm interested in, yeah, without hesitation generally.
But most of the hobby is really into what we talk is the big game, and we're really the small game. We're just, this kind of show is really a little bit about everything. We talk about everything. We try to keep up with what's going on. But the reality is that, we're some base collectors that have a little history and organic growth through what was past, I guess, before, going to the store, buying a pack, or, buying something in a souvenir shop, going to see a game, those kind of things, keeping the ticket, those kind of things. Those are sort of memories. There's no memories built on going forward, getting your card graded and adding it to your collection. And those guys throw slabs around like whatever.
Well, you wait, Bobby. There's going to be an entire generation of collectors later that will hear the horror stories from their parents. It's like, I remember, son, I sent the card out and I waited a year. And after a year, it finally came. And on the day we rejoiced. What was it? It was a base card. Oh. The important thing is that I waited a long time. The moral of the story is patience, son. The moral of the story is patience. That's the point of the story. Stay on topic.
Yeah, the moral of the story, I guess, is, there's a hobby and everybody's at different degrees. I just hate when a lot of guys say, oh, I'm in the hobby. You're not. You're an investor. Come on. Mm-hmm. Like, that hobby term needs to be narrowed. And you want to invest, that's fine. And you want to drag other people, because the more people you get into it, it's almost like a multi-level marketing. The more people we get in, the more cards will be worth it, more and more and more. Yeah. Get into it if you enjoy it. Get into whatever. Collect soccer cards. Go crazy on cricket.
What?
Have fun.
No one collects soccer cards.
For fun.
No one collects soccer cards, buddy. No one.
There's actually
look, Robert. Look, I always give Robert credit. He is passionate about what he's passionate about, and when it's like the dog on the bone. When he grabs it, he's not letting go. It's not happening. It's like just let him have the bone at that point. Let him have it. So Andy here says, I think Carlos and I might be the only guys collecting UFC cards. No, Andy, there's like a third guy somewhere. We should get the Instagram group set up. UFC collectors. It'll be you, me, and the other guy.
The funny part about the UFC cards, if you look at them, they're affordable. So
they were more so before, but yes, they're still somewhat.
They're still affordable at that point where you can have some fun and spend a little bit of extra money, whatever, on it. So things that are affordable are easy entry. These other things are way up there. It's just like, why would you want to get in there unless you're into invest?
I will say though that this year's Panini offering, the Prism one, I was looking at some of the Prism golds because I like the golds. But I was looking to see, because they're out of 10 at least, they're somewhat. But I wanted to see if I could buy a couple of I wasn't looking for the top end fighters. I was looking at some of the fighters who I do watch and enjoy, because I watch a lot of the other fights as well. So I was like, okay, let me see if I can find some of the second or third tier fighters who I still enjoy watching. And I think one of them I was looking at was like $300 or $400. And I was like, ooh. And I'm going a couple of tiers down. It's like, ooh.
1, 2, 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Yeah, I know.
It's like, ooh, that's why I say, like, when I was buying boxes of Topps Chrome UFC for $80 and able to open the box and I get a couple autographs in it, it's like, it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing.
It's funny, at the expo when you set up a booth, which I used to set up there, and I sell my books, but I also sell a bunch of other stuff. Mm-hmm. If I did 5K in a weekend, wow, it's awesome. A few extra bucks. It was fun. Had some fun talking to people. These guys, 5K is like one transaction. It's like, wow. Just the stuff.
Nowadays, the transaction is, I'd like to buy your table.
Yeah.
It's like, let me just buy the whole thing and then you may leave.
That used to happen way back, and it hasn't happened in, I'd say maybe 2 or 3 times in the expo in the last 20 years. Mm-hmm. But prior to that, in the late 90s, they buy your table. Those guys just come in and buy your table. That happened a lot. Once or twice a show.
Yeah, absolutely. So quickly here, the collector says the most I've spent on a card is $650 for the player that is verboten. He of the fish name that isn't Tim Salmon. So he spent $650 for alleged baseball player. He doesn't even play baseball anymore. I don't know what you guys are doing. BGS 9 2011 Bowman Chrome. So I think that would be his rookie Bowman Chrome, BGS 9. 650, I think at the time probably was okay. You probably did all right price wise. I'm not sure what the current pricing on it is, but you probably did all right.
But it's hard to put that on your blog. It's just like, I just paid 650. You know.
There are things where you could say it and be like, yeah, I paid 650. There are other things where it's like, I paid 650.
Yeah.
It's like, you said the same thing. Yes, but I completely changed the tone inflection. I changed the tone.
It's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Yeah.
Football?
So there you go. Most I've spent on a card is 375. A Burley 3-card panel All-Star Jumbo patch. Well, at least that's a Jumbo patch. That's kind of cool. I like that. I like that.
See, that doesn't break the bank. It's fun. You enjoy it.
And from what that sounds like, it sounds like a cool card. It would be a nice set because the 3 panel ones are like, you can get the big holder for it. They usually look pretty good. So
the top loaders that are like the long.
Yeah,
they're nice.
They're nice display pieces though. If it's a good patch and stuff, it can be a nice display piece. So yeah, Andy says, I hear you. Never bought a Panini UFC card. I get that. That's fair enough. Oh no, Otani totally sucks. The problem with the Angels is they suck with or without the player. the joke with Trout for me always was is like, well, they suck with Trout. Now, I'm not going to blame Trout for that because when Trout leaves, they suck like 4% more. It's only marginal. Like they're only marginally worse. It's testament in baseball, one player can't be the difference maker. It's the nature of the sport.
I think I drove out all the investor types.
That could be. So 5,000 is my standard deal done harassing collectors at the airport. Yes, Sasha T. I mean Aussie card day.
Oops. What was that? 5,000 and what?
Here we go. 5,000 is my standard deal done harassing collectors at the airport. I will have you know, sir, that Sasha T haggled for like 3 minutes for $500 on a $30,000+ deal.
Yeah. Well,
that extra $500 was key to the deal, and he only made 8,000 when he could have only made 7,500 because he is a great negotiator.
Or, we won't say that.
It was funny because it actually came up on one of the podcasts as well, because one of the guys who was there during that blog, I think Cost Cards, he was being interviewed by somebody else, and they asked him about that because he was in the video, he was around. He was the third party kind of observing the proceedings. He wasn't directly involved in the deal. But yeah, he kind of had to like douse the flames a little bit. He goes, look, I'm friends with Sasha and I'm friends with, I think it's MC card, whatever. He goes, look, I'm friends with both of these guys. And the thing is that's kind of how Sasha is around his friends. He's doing it because he wouldn't try to pull basically his assessment of it. He goes, he wouldn't try that negotiating tactic on somebody he doesn't know because they just walk away from you. But because those guys know each other, he thinks there's a little bit more rope to work with.
So you do that to your friends, but you won't.
Clearly.
Like, what the hell does that mean?
I am only stating what was the argument that was made.
My friend's friend is my enemy?
Sure.
Or what's that?
Look, I don't know, man.
Saying?
You're asking. I wouldn't be shocked if there was an element of an understanding that I'm going to record this because I think it'll be good content, and he didn't realize that it actually kind of backfired him on quite a bit.
Yeah, at that point, he's looking for the win. He's not looking for the money. And those guys are scary because they always try to win. I have guys who buy from me all the time, and they're looking to win, to beat you. Even if you make a price and it's still a good price, they still want to beat you on something else. I couldn't pay that. You probably found that for $20 or something. You know, they'll say all these little things. And there's one guy, I won't let him win because he wants to win.
Mm-hmm.
And I haven't sold him anything. And every time he likes the stuff, but he wants to win. And I will not let him win because he wants to win. If he wanted to deal, fine, let's do it. But he wants to win. And those people, I'm not too happy with those people.
Well, that applies. It's kind of plays back to what I mentioned. I always make the references to kind of the old call center days where if you make this difficult, I will make it difficult.
Yes.
There's a million times where it's like, look, man, and I used to laugh because I used to talk to some of the coworkers at the time, and they'd be like, "It's like, Carlos, you could have done that deal." It's like, of course I could have done it. And 99 times out of 100, I would if you just approach it the right way. Because here's the thing, I work here. Mm-hmm. It's not really my money. So it's one of those things where if I can justify whatever I'm going to do, I can do whatever I like.
So do you ever get that guy come in and ask you questions and think that he was going to win?
Yeah,
all the time. He knew it. Oh, let me talk to Carlos. Hey, and then before too long,
and the deal would get worse.
It gets worse.
It would actually decline. What we started off with would actually get worse progressively the more they argued. Because
Yeah.
sometimes kind of playing in your point of win, there was a guy who was canceling the service. So he was canceling. He called in because he goes like, all right, take your box back. He wanted us to go send somebody to take the box. And I go, did you get the cardboard box with the FedEx label? He goes, yeah, but I don't have time to go ship it out. And it's like, okay, but I'm not going to send somebody out to go get the box for you. He goes, well, don't you want your box? It's like, well, if you don't return it, you get charged a fee.
There you go.
So it's like the fee is much more than it would cost you to go over to drop it off. So he argued with me for about 10 minutes, and he goes, so you're going to send somebody for the box? No. You already have the box. You already have the label. Have a good day. Click. Like, we're not playing this game. It's one of those things where it's like, sir, I don't know what you think. I don't know what position you think you're in. You already have everything you need. Go and drop it off. Our business is concluded. That's it.
I deal more reasonably with my friends. So, the extra $500, it wasn't about the money, obviously.
Yeah. No, it was 100% about the win. He was trying to get one up because, as it turns out,
that's a loss in my books. Looking at it this way, that's a loss because that's not a sign of mutual respect that we have in the hobby. There is that sense when you're dealing with somebody to have.
But he is lucky though, in the sense as well, is that he actually is that the buyer, the other guy, MC, basically only tolerated it because he did in fact have a buyer. He was able to flip it. Yeah, but otherwise, that $500, that whole argument would have basically kiboshed the deal. Because I think the other guy just hung in there because he did in fact have a buyer. So he goes, look, I'll put up with this BS, but otherwise it'd be like, no, keep the card then, go away. It's not. It's like sometimes you'll put up with certain things if it's something in it for you, but it's like it's not a good look.
Well, there's an extra 500 in it. $8,000's not enough.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. So Eric says, "What is the space boat that you speak?" I'll send you some literature.
Yes.
So Brad here says that Prism UFC is the same price as Prism Basketball now.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the first Prism issue it tends to be really inflated. Yeah. It tends to be a lot. That's the reason why I say. Here's the thing. Like I say this seriously. I do enjoy UFC. I am one of the 3 people with Andy that enjoys collecting UFC cards. I would totally collect this. It looks nice. I like it, but not at those prices.
Yeah.
I would love to open a couple of packs of it because I actually legitimately enjoy opening that stuff. That's the reason why I'm crossing my fingers that I'm hoping, because Upper Deck's going to release that AEW set in the fall. I don't know what their price point is going to be. I'm crossing my fingers that they don't rake us over the coals with it, but I don't know what they're going to do.
They probably will, because they know Prism Basketball is the UFC is the same price, so they're going to sit there. They're not. Well,
Upper Deck though doesn't have Prism. Prism is Panini.
No, but I meant they know the pricing scheme, what's going on out there, so they're just sitting there going, okay, well, if they're buying it at that price, I think we can get this. And
they can try. It's one of those things though that AEW is a new IP. Like, they're not established yet in the market that way. UFC has at least been around for a while and had years of cards now.
Yeah.
So it's
like players. I don't know. Yeah. Well,
yeah. It would be a bit of a gamble to try to push too hard on price point, especially out of the block when you haven't established the brand yet. So we'll see. We shall see.
I did pick up something interesting. Baseball.
Sure. Quick thing while you're going to grab that, guys in the comments. We can still keep chatting about anything you like. Bobby will show what he has. I actually have a little story about a random thing I got in the mail. I got something random in the mail this week that is not part of the normal pickups, and I'll explain what it is. But you show your thing first, by all means.
Anyways, I picked up this baseball. It's called the Sport Sticks.
I think is that Willie McCovey?
It's
is that Maze?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, actually, I'll take it out so you can see it a little bit better. There we go.
Here, hold on. I'll zoom in on it.
Oops.
Oh, that's Maze. Yeah, that's Maze.
Well, there's 5 different stickers in the pack.
Dick Butkus, Bobby. You have Dick Butkus?
Yeah. Well, actually, this they did baseball, 3 baseball packs, 3 football packs with 5 stickers in each. They're round stickers.
Oh, okay.
And square stickers. Mantle's actually on the back.
Oh, very cool.
It's round.
So it's inside the pack. Okay.
And this is called the Special Oldies. What's it? It's called. I need my glasses for that one. Great Oldies. So
okay.
This is a special pack of Great Oldies. And then there's one basketball player. What's his name? Debashane. I can't.
Well, it's on the front of the thing.
Oh yeah, hey, yeah.
Yeah,
It
it's probably
should
a
be
little
there,
easier
right?
reading off the front.
Debashir, Dave Debashir.
Something like that. Yeah, that's what it
Yeah.
looked like.
Yeah. So yeah, Vicky Mantle, Dick Butkus, Roberto Clemente, and Willie Mays.
Pretty good lineup. Not bad. Not bad at
Yeah.
all.
Well, this is the better pack. The other ones have miscellaneous,
Okay.
medium, just some big stars.
I like that they at least listed which guys were in the pack. That's at least handy if you were a person buying it at the time.
I'm going to put an article out in Sports Collectors Daily all about these different packs. And there was
Okay.
one hockey, Esposito, and a few other stars. I can't remember who was in the hockey right now.
Nice.
But anyways, it's kind of nice little pack. But the best part about it, here, is Jeremy out there? They also did
Oh, okay.
rock sticks.
Okay, so hold on. Let me zoom in here a little bit. So you got
David
Bowie,
Bowie.
you got Jagger. Okay, interesting.
Peter Frampton, Patty Smith, Captain and Tennille.
Okay, cool.
Well,
Oh, hold
there's
on.
more.
Oh, okay, you got the Who. Nice. Okay,
Elton
and
John.
Cher. Okay. So what year? What year were these?
76 as well.
Gotcha.
Sports sticks and rock sticks.
Okay.
Elton John, Bay City Rollers. They made 5 packs, so I got them here. Bruce Springsteen, John Denver. So pretty cool stuff.
Not bad at all. Pretty sweet.
Oh, Roger Daltrey.
Oh, hold on. Yep.
So they even did the Who, Anyways, so I thought those were kind of interesting. These are very hard to find, the rock sticks. But
I
the
agree with
sports
that.
sticks, not so hard to find. But
Okay.
this pack is very difficult to find.
Gotcha. So quickly, I'll answer Aussie Card Dad's question.
And they-
Panini has the UFC license currently. That's the reason why Andy and I are lamenting the prices. When Topps had it, at least we had a decent shot. So Dave Dubuisser, and apparently he played for the Knicks. All right, very cool, very cool.
So there's one basketball in out of all of them.
I like that you brought in the sticker. So this isn't the random thing. This one I was expecting, but I wasn't sure what was going to come in yet. But we're going to see. So these came in.
Is that lenticular?
It is not lenticular, but it is
Glossy?
holographic.
Oh,
It is. It's got a glossy and it's got a rainbow foil.
Wow, that's a neat one.
I wanted to see how their stuff was.
It's a sticker, right?
It is a sticker, yeah.
Oh, so you can put it on my car, my window, and
You could, yeah, you could. It's got the rainbow shine to it. So that one I was expecting, but I wasn't sure when it was going to come in. I wanted to see what the quality was. They seem
oh,
to, they
just
seem
got
all right.
one.
No, I've got a sampler pack. So 10,
okay.
10 are in here, and this is just the one that's outside sample.
Oh, nice.
So I think they sent 11 for a sampler pack. But it's very. I wanted to see what it would look like with the whole rainbow shine thing. It looks pretty neat.
It looks
because
pretty good.
Yeah, I thought it actually looks pretty sweet. And it's about the size of a Post-it note, but you can get different sizes. You just have to tell them what you want. It's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought I'd try with the shiny just to see what it looked like, and so far so good. I'm impressed. Not bad. Not bad at all.
Put it on a mug.
Sandy enjoys. Those are cool, Bobby. Absolutely. AW. Arn Anderson, Sting, Jake the Snake, Paul Show, Chris Jericho, Rhodes Boys, and more to come. I think they do a good balancing act though, because they do grab the veterans, but most of those guys that you list there, they don't wrestle. And that's kind of the important thing. They're doing jobs outside of it. So like Paul White, he's participating in a thing now. Chris Jericho is wrestling. He could probably step aside though, and I think he may in the short order because he usually goes touring with his band and stuff. But he can also do commentary and do some of that. Jake the Snake is a manager. Sting is basically a manager. He doesn't actually wrestle. Now, the Cody Rhodes is still technically within wrestling prime because in wrestling, if you're in your late 30s, early 40s, now you're a veteran, you know what you're doing, and if you're not too beat up, you're usually pretty good. Now, his brother, though, keeps defying father time because his brother, I think, is 50. But he's actually in better shape than he's ever been, and he's actually pretty good in the ring. He moves better than some of the guys in their 30s who are more beat up, so I don't know what the heck happened there.
He's got the moves like Jagger.
Well, what he did is he got in shape is what he did, because at one point he was really overweight, and then he committed himself to getting fit, and actually he's able to go. He's not wrestling all the time. That's not his job. It's not his goal. He's a trainer most of the time, but once in a while, if they need him to do something, he can go out of there and do it, and that's good. That's all you want.
Not
It
bad.
is a refractor, absolutely. What would they grade? Well, the top one actually had a sticker on it, so probably I would get deducted surface.
Oh yes. I
Yeah, I
can
would get
see
the
that.
ducted surface.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a sticker that they attach to it. I actually removed it. It's I don't know why they
Oh.
attached this to it. Like, I genuinely don't know what purpose it served. They did give some sample stickers though. Some sticker mule. So you got a bunch of this stuff.
Oh.
Cool. Yeah. They also gave me a coaster. They were looking ahead to my beer.
Ah, smart guys.
So I was like,
Let's see that
that's all
close
right.
up.
That's all right.
Let's see the close up of this the coaster.
Oh, the coaster? Yeah, sure.
Oh, I thought it was
No, no, they're promoting their own stuff with the coasters.
got it.
So it's
Okay,
like,
yeah.
but it's pretty cool. I like look. I paid $11 for the 11 stickers, and then they threw in a bunch of this extra stuff. So I was like, okay, that's cool. That's all right. But I wanted to see. I can order more later, but I wanted to first see if it was any good because this is at least light. If somebody wants it and I need to ship it, this is easy to ship. A sticker is not so bad.
Oh.
Yeah. So what were they grade? We can only guess. Are they serial numbered? They are not.
Ah.
Carlos Sticker Refractors, #invest.
They're 1 of 10.
Yeah, well, they are
Oh,
right now,
11.
yeah. Well, the 11th one I wouldn't send anybody. Surface issues. I would keep that one.
Yeah.
And Carlos Sr. usually gets some of the swag first. He gets a copy. So there'll be one removed from rotation. Vern Gagne was super old and still wrestled with the Suns occasionally. That is true. But he shouldn't have, though. To be honest, like, it hurt his promotion. He ran a promotion, but he kept himself active. And it's like, God, dude, you own the place. You don't need to do it. You can just work on running the company.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Korean Cardboard, I'll figure that out. Right now, I just wanted to check them out first. I literally just got them in today. I'll do a quick quality check on the other ones to make sure they're good. And if they're good, I'll figure out something. It's one of those that you can usually ask. And I can figure something out. But we'll figure something out. Rick, Vintage Oddball Cards, good evening. What grading company are you using for the stickers? Oh, man. Maybe HGA, and I can get custom labels, too. They'll probably grade anything for $1. Sell them for $5,000. If they were NFTs, I might be able to. That might be the next logical step. NFTs. So anyway, we did touch on the alt thing. We touched on the LaMelo gate. We touched on soccer. Lord knows more than I ever expected we ever would. So that was kind of fun. We even got into a little bit of the UFC thing. So it's like, all right, what are you gonna do? But yeah, anything else going on that any of you guys caught? News-wise, I didn't really catch anything else. The alt thing was kind of interesting just because it kind of developed midweek. And then the LaMelo gate is a thing that people are keeping an eye on. It's kind of interesting. I know that somebody, I want to say it was Wax Museum Podcast. I think he's got on his social media, I think he's doing a tracker of some of those LaMelo patches and kind of keeping an eye if all the autographs are like that, which is a good exercise, to be honest, because at this point, nobody else is going to hold Panini accountable for that. You kind of want the photographic evidence to see, like, did you guys really do this to every single one of them? You didn't check any of them, and the autographs are like this. It's like, all right, whatever. Dan! Exclamation mark. Rick! Ken! It's true. It is true. But yeah, anything else going on this week that caught any of you guys' eyes? Or anything else that you're looking into? I did have a little fun, and it'll be in the pickup video that'll come on in the morning. I did pick up I was mentioned earlier in the chat, but I did pick up the Z Gold, which is one that I've been looking for since the late 90s. So that's pretty fun. That's kind of one thing I was really excited about getting in this week. I was tracking it all the way. Been waiting years to get my hands on that one. But anyway, hopefully we'll be able to see what happens going forward, because now it's just going to be a matter of figuring out what I'm going to be chasing next. I'm not done, but at the same time, I really don't have the sense of urgency now that I've got one of the big ones off the list. It's pretty good. Yeah, no, I think he's doing a good job with it. And I'm glad that somebody is actually trying to do it, because the tracker lets people at least be able to be informed. Whatever's wrong with the autograph, whoever signed it, allegedly, it's good to know, though, if all of them are like that. And the only way you're going to do that is if somebody's keeping track, and that tracker is going to be a big help for that, for sure. I'll see if I can find it. Let me take a look here. More Sotos. Yes, actually, I did end up getting 2 this week. So in addition to that card, this one is a cracked dice. I'll bump up the lighting on this a little bit. But you can see that's a cracked dice 2020 Select launch angle autograph. Pretty nice. I wish they would do some of the more on card, but it is what it is. And this is from 2021, also cracked dice. So I'll have better images in the pickup video. You'll be able to see it a lot better, but very cool looking cards. So just adding some to the collection. Been enjoying that. See here. I found some of the LaMelo autos that look nothing like the current Miles Bridges autos. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. The patches and National Treasures are not game or event worn. Yep. Yeah, unfortunately, they've been doing that for a while, and that's been one of the knocks on National Treasures. It's like people would like them to be game or event worn or something, but yeah, at that point you have to really consider that. Don't treat them like patches. Treat them like aesthetics. Treat them like what they are. They're manufactured patches essentially. So it is what it is. The set's actually going pretty good. I'm down to about 20 cards now. I have to take a look at the checklist and see exactly what's missing now. I did put it on a spreadsheet, so I have to look at it again, just to make sure everything's up to date. But I'm right at the end now. I'm probably gonna make a push in the next couple of weeks here. Probably the next couple of mail days after this next week, we'll probably start getting some of those 54s. I want to get to the end. Now, what's going to be interesting for me is that, and this won't be for a while. Once I am able to finish the regular set, I do want to get the Ted Williams. I want to get the Ted Williams 66 as well, because then I'll feel like the set's complete. I don't want all the variations, but that Ted Williams to me is a very cool card, and I want to add it to my collection and have it as part of the set. But that's just me. That's kind of the way I like to approach it. But it's going good. We're getting to the tail end of that, and then my 60 Parker set is also starting to wind down, so I want to focus on that a little bit too. Really start putting the nail in both of those.
What's the big card you need out of that one?
The 60 Parkers. I don't think I think I've got all the stars now.
Okay,
I think the 61 is a bit of a short print just because of the last card. It usually gets damaged a little bit. It's not rare at all. None of them are really rare, but it is a little bit more condition sensitive just because it was the last card in the set.
I'll see if it's short printed.
Yeah, I just don't remember. I don't think it is, but you can certainly correct me on that. I do not.
I have the Excel file that has everything.
Nice.
Cards.
Yes, David G. That's a good callback. That's actually a good point. So quickly, I'll touch on that, and then I'll quickly get a refill. I did check out a little bit of the Field of Dreams game. So are you familiar with this, Bobby? Do you know what this one is?
I'm so sorry. I'm not even looking. I'm looking at my Excel.
Yeah, no worries. It was just asking about the Field of Dreams game that Major League Baseball.
Oh yeah, where Kevin Costner was there, and
yeah, absolutely. And they did it on the field where they filmed the movie previously, and kind of a callback to the Field of Dreams. And they had the players walk in through the cornfield as part of the introduction, which was very well done. I think they did They even had the guys walking with the cameras, and they followed Kevin Costner for a while. Kevin Costner it's one of those things like you don't have to act. But he decided to just play into it. He's like walking in, like looking around and everything. It's like, but he kind of played into it and then gave a little speech afterwards as well, which was very good. I think it was well done.
I like the end of the speech where he goes, and he asked the audience,
is this heaven?
Yeah, and how many people said yes, or did they say Iowa?
I think there would probably be a mix.
Yes, Iowa.
Yeah, exactly. Like it'd be interesting to see how many people got the movie quote correct. Yeah. But I love the callback. I think it was and I thought they did a good job with the field. It looked interesting. You combined a little bit with the modern. You did have a jumbotron there, but like literally the game-winning home run was hit into the field. It was hit into the cornfield. It landed in the middle of the corn.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah, it was a great ending was visually very interesting. I think they did a good job with it. I was very impressed. So Ozzy Card Dad says here, is Medano still in current hockey releases? From time to time, yeah. He's in the Legends rotation. So he's not in every series. I always check the checklist just to see, but he does get put in there semi-regularly. If so, is there any interest for you to collect? I do pick up some of the new ones. I've done some, but I try to be picky. With the newer ones, I'm very, very particular with the aesthetic of the card. If I like the card, then I'm interested. If I don't like the card, I don't really need it. The playing days ones, though, I do pursue those with a lot more vigor, for sure.
61 too, or 60? 61?
So this would be 60, 61. 60,
Okay.
61.
So 66 cards. Oh, no, sorry, that's tops.
It'd be 61 for that
61 cards.
Yep.
Jim Morrison, last one. Just rookies, that's it. Yeah,
okay.
no problem there.
Okay, perfect. So I'll just have to keep an eye out. Probably a lot of them that I've seen do have a little bit of condition issues, but it could have been very well from handling and stuff.
Are you collecting it in a certain grade, or like raw? Are you getting all graded? Or
I've gotten some graded. I'm very on the stars. I have gotten a couple of them graded. The other ones I'm just looking for decent raw copies.
EX.
Depends on the card. On some of them, I've gone a little higher. A lot the other ones I hover right around that range because most of them are pretty affordable. If you get a raw copy that's decent, you don't have. It's not big dollars. That's what I like about it. You can get a nice looking copy, and it
You're not
doesn't have to
getting
break the
twos
bank.
and threes, and yeah.
For the star guys, I did a little bit. Like I think Gordie Howe is a 1, but that's because it's Gordie Howe.
Yeah, it's expensive. Yeah,
But it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been able to enjoy it. Oh, sorry, Jeff. I wanted to answer your question. The sets are in binders. The 54 Bowman's in a binder. The 60 Parkhurst is actually in a binder, but I got 4 pocket pages and I have them inside of the semi-rigids. So I actually put the semi-rigids in the 4 pocket pages so that I kind of get the best of both worlds because then I can take out the cards and look at them a little more closely if I want to. So it kind of because it's only a 61 card set. It makes it a little bit easier. It's not so bad.
yeah.
So it's
True.
different ways to do it, but I find that one is a good balance for me. Yep, absolutely, Andy. It was very well done. I give him a lot of credit. So this was formerly Baz, and now is baseball card curmudgeon. Like the handle. Well played. Hoping to launch some hobby content this year. Excellent. Looking forward to it. Do let us know if you do go forward with that. That'll be interesting to see. I encourage those who are interested, join the game. Have some fun. Don't come in with crazy expectations. Just do stuff that is fun for you that you can enjoy and go for it. Have some fun.
1,000 subs, man. 1,000 subs.
Absolutely. Have a good night, Eric. Take it easy.
And Eric.
Sounds good. All right, guys. So for the most part, if you got any other questions or anything we can do, we're not gonna drag it out too much. We did have a little fun with alt off the top. I will before we go anywhere. I'll quickly give the story about. Just kind of playing off of it. I'll come back to the sticker thing in subsequent weeks. Let me figure out what I'm going to do with it. I might order some more, but for now, let me just figure it out. I got to see what I'm going to do with it. Plus, I will do a quality control check. I'm going to open the package and actually go through them and make sure they're all good. But from what I can see, the quality seems to be decent. So I got two pieces of mail today. One of them was actually a card I was waiting on, which is great. I included that in my pickups video. That was expected. But I did get a large envelope, and it was a big padded mailer. And I wasn't sure exactly what the heck it was. But then I went and checked, and it was from the ANA, so the American Numismatic Association. I'm actually a member of that, but my membership had just about run out because I do, like I said, I keep track of numismatics and things, and it's relatively cheap to be a member, and you get the digital magazine every month, and it's a fun read. I can read it on my iPad, actually. It's actually very cool the way they've done it with the app. So I renewed it because it was coming to an end. But I randomly, out of the blue, I got this thing, but there was no letter or anything. Just included. Literally, they just shipped this to me from the ANA, from their office. Everything you need to know to buy and sell silver.
Huh.
So I got a free book on everything you need to know. But it was funny because it didn't come with a letter or anything, and I was like, I wasn't aware there was any freebies or anything, but probably it was for the renewal. But inside, they've got so it's got a cardboard slip cover, so to speak. But inside of it, they've got a bunch of little guides and stuff, and it's all color, which is pretty cool. But I just made me laugh when I saw it. I was like, what the hell is this? So there you go. Some guidelines for investing investing in silver coins. I got that from the American Numismatic Association.
Everything's money, right?
Hey, I didn't pay for it. Free is free. It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. It just made me laugh. It was so out of the blue. Well, the previous time when I initially got the membership, the first time I didn't get anything. I just got the membership card and some pamphlets. This time around, I got the membership card and pamphlets in a separate envelope, and then I got this thing.
And that's not cheap to produce.
No. It's made by Whitman, who does a lot of the hobby stuff. So it's nice hardcover. I'll read it. I'll look through it. I'm not going to look a gift horse in the mouth in this case because the membership cost me the same. So it's not like I paid extra for it. So whatever. It was kind of random.
I like that saying, gift horse in the mouth.
Yep.
It came from the early and late 1800s.
Colisener's a heyday. So Cosner owns a or AA baseball team. Okay, that wouldn't surprise me though. He is a sports fan. Like part of the reason why he's always been able to, because he's done so many sports movies. If you really think about it, like Field of Dreams, obviously, but he also did Bull Durham for baseball, and Bull Durham was a great movie. It was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. A book of how to make money using money. You got it.
Yeah, it's funny. I was watching something about Meatloaf, the singer.
Okay.
And he's got an amazing.
I was hoping you were going to say literally Meatloaf the dish. It's like I was watching something about Meatloaf. Singer? No, the dish.
Yeah, he's actually a very big, great, huge baseball collection. Unbelievable.
Okay.
I never even knew that.
Very cool.
So does Cosner collect cards?
I don't know. Maybe he collects soccer cards.
Maybe.
That'll be the impetus. That's what'll get it going.
I knew it was something.
He needs to make the soccer movie, and then you're good. Because he had so many sports movies, if you think about it.
Mhm.
So Tin Cup, the golf movie. Tin Cup was good. I thought it was,
liked
was very good. Draft Day. So this is a reference.
I love that one. That was great.
I thought it was good. It was one of those things where maybe I got to watch it again. But the first time I thought it was pretty good, but I got a lot of people that were raving about it. It's like, it's good. It's I maybe I have to watch it again. Maybe I didn't quite catch.
Sometimes I'm like that with movies. Sometimes I didn't get the first time, and then you watch it and you go, like I watched that one with Mark Wahlberg. He's playing for Philadelphia. Forget the Dreamer. I forget the name of the movie. You know, the first time I saw it was okay, but then the second and third, and then I gotta buy this thing.
Fair.
Just get used to stuff.
So the collector says, silver and gold, the only real money. Hedge against inflation. They're trying to send me a message. I have some silver and gold coins. That's what made me laugh. It's like I've always had them. I've had them for quite a long time.
What's the spot on silver right now?
Oh, it's actually gone. It's been up. It was up a little while ago. I don't know if it still is. But
Canadian or U.S.?
I'll pull up. I'll pull up Canadian.
Okay.
Silver spot CAD. I will tell you. Let's get it from Kitco. So in Canadian dollars right now, it's $29.69, so it's just shy of 30.
Oh, is it still that low? Okay.
Yeah, but not long ago it was like pushing 40. It was maybe a month ago or a month and a half, something like that. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, it shot up a little bit there, but then
it
comes back down.
Yeah, but that's the nature of precious metals. It like they have these cycles where like because I remember buying a bunch at 40 years ago, and then it stayed down for a bit. I kept a good chunk of it. I did sell some for a bit because I was like, okay, I was stacking it for a little bit, but I was like, okay, I'll sell it for a bit because it's going to cycle. Here's the thing. It'll be at this price. Maybe it'll be up again. Maybe it'll be down again. It goes up and down. It's in waves.
I think I bought it 26 or 28. I bought about 30 grams, something like that. It just didn't go anywhere for the longest time, and I just said, okay, get out of here.
Well, that's the thing. Look, you want to talk about people. I had some fun with Robert. He's very passionate about the soccer thing. But you want to see who's passionate about. Guys, the day will come. We'll talk about it in 5 years. The silver guys. Go to a silver forum. It's like, it's been 35 years. It's like, but you're going to see. It's being manipulated. It's being manipulated, you guys. And when it stops being manipulated, and inflation to the moon.
I've heard that so many times.
It's been
gold too.
It's been a lot of years. Here's the thing. If you go back years, maybe to like the 90s or whatever, you were able to get gold. I think it was like 600 an ounce or something like that. It was thereabouts for quite a while. It was there for quite a while. Now, obviously, it's much higher today. So if you had bought it at $600 an ounce, you did great. You did great.
I remember when it shot up from $200 or $300 to $700. That was 70, early 80s. Mm-hmm. I remember at that time I was going, interesting.
But you could also get silver for like comfortably under $10 an ounce. So
if
you had bought a stack of that, you'd still be great. You'd be great either way. You're solid. That's what I mean. Like if you buy, maybe this would be the takeaway, regardless of genre, regardless of what it is. If you buy at the right price, you'll be fine. If you're able to buy at the right price, you'll be good, regardless of insert genre here.
I got the confirming email that Golden has officially received my consignment.
Yes, that's right. So here we go. Quickly, I'll get caught up here. For the love of the game, yes, that's another baseball one. Very true. So that's at least 3 of them that we can pick up here. Bull Durham, Invincible. Okay.
Invincible was the movie. Thank you.
There you go. Perfect. Thank you. Rick says, I'm late to the game tonight, but I can't get into the card ladder or market movers. What's the hobby come to? Old-time collectors must be cringy. They are, but let me make a point, Rick. Why? It's not a required thing. You don't have to use it because the data is available if you want to go. And this is where I have fun is that I can interview Chris and discuss some of these things, but at the same time tell you, if you ask me for a recommendation, which one should I go with? And I say, well, what are you going to do? It's like, well, I'm collecting. Okay. eBay has a free thing. It's called TerraPeak. Go use that. It gives you a year worth of data. Sell the Peak gives you 3 months. 130 point gives you 3 months. Go ahead. Like I'll give you free options. You just have to ask. Now, if you're somebody who's flipping constantly and you can just basically, if you can almost justify it as a business expense is what you're part of what you're trying to do, there's a much stronger case to be made for you because then you might have a use for it. You need something a little bit more up to the date. You need a little more information. But if you just need some comps and stuff that is around, go use Terapeak, go use 130 point. There's a bunch of free options. Go nuts. Or use vintage card prices if you're so inclined to look up some of the old prices, some of the old sales. There you go. You're good. Vince Papali movie Wahlberg. Okay, gotcha.
Love that one.
Thank you, Or. First time I've seen that name, so good evening. There's an infamous Meatloaf video of him singing halftime at the AFL Grand Final. Oh, dear Lord.
Oh,
it's the
that
worst singing you've ever heard. Interesting.
Oh, no, it was amazing. He did the Star Spangled Banner. It was amazing.
At the AFL Grand Final?
Oh, sorry, it was a baseball game.
Yeah, exactly.
In 94.
Yeah, he's talking about it. I would love to see. So was he singing the Australian national anthem? I don't know what the words would be. I'm genuinely curious. That might be interesting.
I don't know their national anthem. My God.
Yeah, I'd be curious. That'd be kind of interesting. Damn, JP Morgan. True story. Peter Schiff has all the answers. He believes he does. Yes. Yeah, with your vintage Albo cards. There you go. Said was $15 2 years ago. Okay, there you go. Perfect. And that would be in US dollars, I think. But you're right. It's the thing. It was in a lull for quite a while because it was up for a while, and then it was in a lull for a while, and it surged recently, and now it's kind of hovering in the middle ground there.
Yeah, back at what was the high? 50, I think.
You mean it's like its absolute apex some time ago? I think it was like 50 something. If we're talking Canadian dollars, it would be like 50, pushing 60, but 50 something. I think so.
50 US, yeah. Like my books, I do everything in US when I'm talking finances and stuff like that.
There you go.
International.
I laugh though because if the price ever did go down to a number I was happy with, I some of the dealers that I used to buy the stuff from, they're still around. I could easily just reach out and buy some if the spot price is appropriate because they're usually pretty fair.
Those guys are lifers. They stay in that forever.
Yeah, but the thing is, a lot of the ones that I deal with are also coin shops. So they sell coins, and this is part of their business. They're like, well, if you want some, yeah, we can source it for you. If the spot price is this, I'll give it to you for this premium.
Coins, cards, and comics, eh?
Always. All-time investors just say an ounce of gold should buy you a well-tailored suit. An ounce of gold, actually, let me think. On current prices?
Oh, that'd be a really nice suit at the Hugo Boss.
It'd be about $2,000. Yeah, be pretty decent. You could actually get one that's actually really well. If you don't go for the name brand, you could actually get one pretty well tailored for about $2,000.
Yeah.
It's been a little while. I think when I started with the bank, I actually had a couple of made to measure. I had a couple of made to measure. They're not like custom. When you're talking like bespoke, that's different price point. But if you're talking about made to measure where they are taking your measurements and adjusting the pattern for you, it'll still fit very well if they do a good job. So definitely.
Yeah, Meatloaf certainly lost from about after late 90s into the 2000s. Anytime he sang, he sort of lost his voice.
Well, that happens with some of these guys, yeah.
Yeah, and some like if you're watching The Voice in England, they have The Voice, that show. Mm-hmm. You had what's his name? I can't remember the guy. He's one of the judges there. Oh my God, Tom Jones, and he sings just like back in the day. It's just, and he's like almost 80.
Well, in fairness, though, Tom Jones comes from the school. Tom Jones knew he was going to make his living from singing, long term. So there's a lot of. I listen to some musicians that do a lot of stuff on Twitch because they can do streaming. Because during the pandemic, you can't give concerts, you can't go touring.
Course, yeah.
So you're like, let's find an avenue and let's keep our skills sharp because they can still play. The band can still play and they can still play their songs and do whatever. But they can also take requests. Yeah, what would you like us to play? This, that, or the other thing. And they build up a big catalog of songs and covers they can do in addition to their original songs. So it helps to promote themselves, keeps them out there, and they can do their thing. Some of the good ones can get like 1,000 or 1,500 people watching a night. So like that's still an audience. You're still performing in front of an audience every evening, and they do like 3-hour concerts. But part of that is, and they'll go into bantering with the chat a little bit, just so they'll ask questions, and they go, well, I have to do this, this, and this to take care of my voice because It's not just about.
Celine Dion's very much like that too. Yeah.
Yeah, but if you want to do it long term,
David Lee Roth wasn't.
Well, exactly. It depends on your philosophy on how long you think your career is going to go,
or how long you're going to live.
Correct.
Doing the drugs you're doing.
Exactly.
So
there we go. Final spreadsheet of purchase from Toronto Sports Card Expo in '96.
Wow.
Hope to share on channel. Okay, very cool. From the Dumpsters booth. Okay, that would be an interesting video for sure. And then he did an epic tirade against Australia, blaming us for terrible performance. I like it.
He's a strange one for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Tom Jones is known for something else. He's known for a couple of things. Yes, we know Rick. Yeah.
Yes.
My dad grew up in Ottawa. He's 80 now. He and his 5 siblings chummed around with Paul Anka, who was from there. Nice. Nice.
Isn't
So-
Paul Anka Canadian, right? Oh, someone's flipping in and out.
Yep.
Is it me?
It did. It flipped out for a moment. I don't know if you can. You guys still see us? Okay. It looked like the image flipped for a minute.
Was it StreamYard or is it us? One of us?
Yeah, I'm not sure. You guys will have to let us know if the feed kicked out. So hopefully you can still see us and hear us. So you'll have to let us know. We'll find out in a moment when the chat catches up. But all I was going to say was I used to laugh because when I used to go to that to those coin shops and pick up stuff, like you'd pick up the different silver stuff, so that's all good. But one of my favorites, because I just like having it, just because I like coins and stuff, is that you can get the old Canadian silver dollars with the guys in the canoe.
What's that? 1950?
This is 1965. This one. So these ones are still.
They kept that for a long time then.
Yeah, I think 67 is the last year where these ones are still silver. So these ones are still, I think, 80%. So you're still getting a silver coin out of it.
Is that an Ann Pryor?
What's that?
Is that an Ann Pryor?
67 and before. Yeah.
Ann Pryor is a special edition where the paddle doesn't come out. Anyways, I know.
Yeah. I don't think the 65 doesn't have that one. There's certain years that have some of those modifications.
Yeah, I think it's 55, 54. Up through 60, maybe.
Yeah, I actually bought my dad a 54 because birth year, so I figured he would enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's a fun little gift. It's not an expensive thing if you can get him inexpensively. It's a fun little gift, and he enjoys that stuff, so I figured he would enjoy it. So good. I'm glad you're back. You had a blip, all good now. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was weird because I saw both of us spin for a second. It was very odd. So I don't know. It seems to be okay now. Seems to be okay now. But I like these things because I used to keep one of these in my pocket all the time. But when it's humid and stuff like these do, you have to kind of clean them a little bit. But the cool part is because a lot of people don't see silver coins anymore. But the fun part is if you like flip the coin, if you do it for like a coin flip, you get a distinctive ping because silver sounds very different than like other metals in that ping. So you get that kind of fun.
You put it on your finger and touch it with another one, and it'll ring. Yeah.
Exactly. Then that's usually how you can tell like it's an actual silver piece as opposed to an alloy that is out of whack.
It'll just go doom.
Yeah, but I have I actually have a tube full of these things. So it's one of those things. That's one of the ones. Not the most efficient way. If you want to accumulate stuff, this is not the most efficient way. But it's just fun for me, like stuff like that.
And why did you keep it in your pocket?
Oh, I was used to like having a coin in my pocket. I didn't like regular change. I just like having a coin in my pocket.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the quirks.
Add that to the list.
I have tons. We have barely scratched the surface, sir.
Oh,
barely scratched.
I think we all have some quirks.
That's the thing. That's why I embrace it. It's like, look, man, everybody's got quirks.
Yeah,
everybody. So it's like, live with it. And trust me, there's much worse than having a coin in your pocket. I've seen people have much worse issues than that.
Oh yeah.
It's just the thing I enjoy.
Times, yeah, I get all that.
And it's a good conversation piece sometimes because some people genuinely have never seen one. So sometimes it's like, you know what? Have you seen one of these before? And then you can have a little quick conversation for a couple minutes about it. Mm-hmm. Kills the time, passes the time. Good stuff. So anything else, guys, that you guys want to chat about? I'm gonna get my refill of my drink either way, but we can start winding her down if we're good. I think we've had a little bit of fun. We had some stories. You have a sticker to look forward to if I can ever figure out what to do with it. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Where would I put it?
I don't know, Bobby. You're gonna have to figure that one out. But I showed some cards. Bobby showed some stickers himself. So
are some of the small card shows opening up soon again?
I feel like I heard a couple were thinking about it.
I haven't heard anything, but I haven't looked into it. But it just came to my mind for some reason.
I think maybe the problem is that a lot of the ones near us, a lot of them are in Toronto area, and it would be really tough to get something going in the Toronto area still. That's probably the biggest problem. I think if you went somewhere, I think out west probably, maybe.
Well, I heard
you have to be a little out of the way. You need an area with a little bit because like the downtown core is still kind of people are not super comfortable anywhere near that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I heard that the Pickering market has moved officially to Oshawa. So there was an Oshawa show going on there too as well. So Oshawa seems to be the hot spot now. But I don't know about their COVID laws or whatever they have instilled there.
Okay, so here we go. Robert says the Toronto card show, so I think that's the monthly one. Wants to do one in September, but not sure yet. Okay.
Oh, Rob? That's Rob. Hey, Rob. No, that's not. No, that's not a Rob. Sorry.
Yeah.
Rob runs the show too.
Okay, there you go. But yeah, those guys were. I know they were doing their monthly shows for quite a while. But yeah, if they're giving it a go, although it'll probably be good to see if they manage because that'll be a good indicator of where we're at. Like I said, I still feel like the November one is still going off as long as you don't get a major regression. We seem to be okay. We seem to be on track, but it'll be a good sign if the monthly one is able to run in September. It'll be a good indicator just to let us know where we're at.
Yeah, well, people in the States can travel, which is good, but
Mhm.
then they have to have a double vaccine before they come
Mhm.
across the border, unfortunately. So that's the drawback to that, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
because there's
Very
a lot
true.
of people who didn't get the vaccine, so that are
Well,
collectors that I personally know too. So
yeah, and that'll be a major issue. It'll be a sticking point for some of that stuff. It's like makes it a bit tricky.
well, they said in Ontario that they weren't going to have that, and then all of a sudden, I think the U.S. kind of said we're not going to let them pass unless they do, and now you have to. So I think we were influenced a little bit there
There you go.
because you can carry it whether you have COVID or you had your shots or you haven't had your shots. You can still carry it equally. I listened to Fauci. He said, the same around a nasal whatever thing are exactly the same between the two people. So I'm kind of sitting there going, so everybody thinks they're safe because they think they got the shot, but they're just as likely to carry it and pass it on to anybody else as well. So we're in a sort of a redundancy here with this. It's just, well, it's going to stop people from traveling. Well, all the people who have the shots, they might be traveling with it too. So I don't get the difference.
Well,
But
the difference is what we talked about last week. It's
not
not again.
really.
It's not meant to be a cure. It is meant to be. It is meant to be reduce the likelihood, and if you do, reduce the severity. Those are the two things that it's designed to do. That's it.
That's it.
Anything else is false marketing claims.
So we're living in a false market
That's
in
always been the.
more
That's
ways
always
than
been the
one.
way. That's always been the way that this is the way that this has gone is that these rules have never changed. The reason why a flu shot doesn't cure the flu for all time is because that's a vaccination is to reduce severity and reduce likelihood.
That's it.
It's to help.
Yeah.
That's it. It's to assist.
It's just the help.
Yeah. So Ozzy Cardet says, unfortunately, some of the shows are postponed during current lockdowns, and Australia has oscillated back and forth between lockdowns, so it's been a very serious thing there. I remember the hockey cards on the back of craft dinner boxes in the 80s and small Frito-Lay stamp-sized cards and chip bags. Absolutely.
88. Yeah.
Absolutely. Rick here says 3 episodes next week. I doubt it. I don't think so. There was a specific reason for why that worked. It's one of those things where if there's a reason for it, I never have an issue doing a special like that where there's, hey, come on and talk about XYZ. If you're volunteering, Rick, we can always do a vintage one, but that'll be on you. We'd have to talk about it. And I know some folks that would enjoy a vintage conversation, a vintage dedicated conversation. So there you go. Yeah, you might.
Maybe.
If we pull that one off, then we'll invite you for that one.
Yeah.
I know Rick's very much into it. He's got some great stuff too. So Robert here says, I've read that you're 50% less likely to transmit if you're fully vaccinated versus zero. It's likely
No.
something like that.
This
You
is
want
Fauci.
to pick a different percentage?
No, Fauci said the same. So whether you carry it or not, there's no 50%. I got a half of that, half of COVID. That's no transmission is the same. It's equal. This is Fauci saying this recently, July 31st. They measured the things, and he said it's exactly the same. So anybody can So I don't understand the confusion, and that's just hyperbole. There, it's just people are just talking.
That's been going on for quite a while.
Yeah, but we have factions that are arguing about different things, and the facts are the facts. So you got your shots. I don't. We can both carry it equally. What's the difference? Because you got the shot because it helps you not get sick. You won't transmit it 50% more. Okay. Now we're getting into fake science.
I get your point, Bobby, but I'm not sure what the point is. Like, so do you want people not to get the vaccine? What do you prefer?
It doesn't matter. You are in control of what you do with your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to take that risk, I got the vaccine. I'm double vaxxed.
Yep.
So if you want to take that, but that shouldn't stop people from traveling or going anywhere or going in a restaurant. So, you could not have it and 5 guys in there could have it. Because if you get sick, it's on your own dime, man. It's just, the vaccines are basically free. So get it. If you don't want to get it, and I understand, free choice, then don't. And now you're going to be limited for that. It's tough call.
Well, go pitch it on your platform, Bobby. You'll have to give it in your stump speech.
Everybody does their own thing.
So health professionals said they think they will need a yearly COVID shot with the flu shot. It's if it is a vaccine, if it's going to become a vaccine, it's going to become like I said, the same way that is a flu shot.
It'll be incorporated within the same.
More than likely, yeah. It would be the most efficient means.
Yeah, but a booster shot, I don't know about that, but we'll see.
Here's the thing. They had to try to whip together one important caveat here. They had to try to whip together a vaccine in record time because of the pressure to get a vaccine out in record time, which means that as they go along, they're going to be like, okay, so now we know a couple more things, incorporate that into it, adjust. Because they're like, it's not the final resolution. It's V1. So it's like, they're going to have to keep refining and working on it.
Sure.
And over time. But that's always been the way. The flu shot it iterates every year because you have to keep adjusting. Otherwise, you could just have used the same flu shot from 20 years ago now. It isn't the same one.
Well, that's an interesting question now. We don't know what the next expo is going to really have. Before, it used to be...
I don't think it was 90% the last couple of years. I was still hockey heavy. Still definitely skewed very hockey. But I know that I saw more baseball and football and some of the other sports in the last couple of iterations.
Yeah.
Maybe I would say maybe 80-20. The last couple would be a little bit more closer to reality.
Fair enough. This one?
That's going to skew a little more, I think. Yeah.
I think we're going to be 60% hockey and 40% whatever else.
That's probably reasonable.
That's a guess, but
that's probably reasonable.
Pretty close. Because hockey is still, big in Canada. So we'll see what happens with all that. That'll be interesting.
Yep. So let me look here. So Robert here is just defining transmit. If you don't have symptoms, you're less likely to transmit. Well, the symptoms don't change the ability to transmit.
No.
The one part that is fair here is if you're not coughing at somebody, then you are not pushing saliva out into the air directly. If you're just sitting there quietly, unless you're sweating on somebody, then that would be less likely. That's the only real thing that changes.
It depends on how you take the symptoms.
That's basically it, yeah.
Even if you have the shot, you still might cough.
Yeah.
So
that's possible too.
But I understand.
We saw people getting sick despite getting fully vaccinated, which is what I said. It's not a cure. It never was a cure. Just so we're clear, it never was a cure.
Everybody is going to eventually get this. That's the end result.
Mm-hmm.
That's where the herd immunity comes in. So you just if you have vaccinated, you just less likely to have any symptoms.
Yeah.
So you're a hidden carrier.
Yeah. But to be honest, like I said, from just strictly a practical perspective, that for a free shot, that is in itself worth something. I would rather have less symptoms if I do catch it.
Yes, me too.
I would prefer that. So I think the new expo will have lots of modern basketball. I think it'll be a higher proportion for sure. 100%.
I think it might overtake football and baseball.
I would suspect some of the younger guys will come in with a lot of that.
I
think they'll be very keen on it.
There'll be Pelican cases, don't you worry.
Oh, I can only hope. I hope so. So as the virus said, listen, I will get my Pelican case, goddammit. Actually, I might get a Zion case because they got the other one. They got the Zion case. It's the same thing, but I actually think it looks a little better. I kept joking with the guys in the message thread that I chat with is that, guys, do you realize that, like, aside from the association with the kids, it's like, I actually wouldn't mind having a holder for some of the slab cards that I have as opposed to the cardboard box. Because you've got the cardboard box that holds the slab cards. It's like, no, it's practical. I'm not necessarily going to carry around, but it's like where I've got it on the shelf, I would rather put it in one of those holders anyway. There's actually a practical utility, but now it's been associated with the kids walking around with the Pelican case.
Yeah, now you're going to join the crowd, right?
Like, I don't care. If I do it, I'm going to put really worthless cards in it and be like, yeah, you want to look at them? It's like 88 Greg Jeffries, 89 Greg Jeffries, 1990 Greg Jeffries.
And then you're going to lose 2 stickers because you got to put them on both sides so you know it's yours.
Love it. We'll just get more stickers, Bobby.
Advertisement.
Solved. As virus keep evolving, vaccines need to keep doing the same. That's right. There's lots of modern basketball everywhere now. Yep, people have to try to tumble those junk slabs. Yes. Modern basketball could be fully responsible for the dip. That is a theory that's out there because the folks that got into it hot are going to be the ones that are going to absorb the losses when things drop off.
That is probably one of the truest statements of all.
Yep.
It was certainly the hype because basketball never surpass anything before, and it passed baseball, football, and basketball, hockey altogether. Times 10.
Well, we'll see. Here's what I'll say. I think it's going to be
did
the
pass.
biggest.
I'm saying it surpassed.
Yeah,
volume
I think
yeah.
between the last expo and this one, it will be the area of the biggest growth. You will notice it a lot more than you ever have. It will be prominent. It will be, for some folks, it will be a really exaggerated effect. But I think it'll be close to the ratio you're talking about. It'll be like 60-40. But compared to what it was before, it'll be like, oh my God, there was basketball at every table. That won't be true, but you will notice it a lot more. It'll be in your face a lot more than it's ever been. I think that's 100% true. Yeah. I agree with that in general.
True.
There we go. What percentage is vintage hockey? Is modern hockey going to catch up? Well, modern hockey is more prevalent than vintage already. Like, it's been for years. Vintage hockey is definitely there. But you know which dealers tend to be a little bit better for it. Historically, there have been certain ones. So we'll see kind of what this cycle has for us. But traditionally, there have been certain dealers that deal a little bit more in vintage hockey, and they tend to be the ones with more and more of the inventory. The rest of it is kind of sprinkled around the room. But is modern hockey going to catch up? In the expo, it did decades ago. It's been a long time. Vintage hockey's always been there because I go back to thinking the mid-90s. Vintage hockey was always there. But the modern was the modern, and the modern was on all kinds of tables all over the place, from the mid-90s till now. So in the last 25 years, it's always been more. These other areas are now going to creep into that space where modern hockey will lose some market share, will be to modern basketball, a sprinkle of modern football, and a sprinkle of modern baseball from some other guys bringing in. There'll be sprinkles. But basketball will probably take the lion's share.
A lot of dealers were doing both. They were doing vintage and modern. I would see it's like, oh, no, I'm gonna look over in this case. So there was a kind of a split there.
Yeah,
because they knew there's still, you still pick up vintage. It's not like you're turning your eye to it, away from it. So
there were a lot of dealers who would have, like, say they've got 8 cases, they might have one vintage case. So they would have one case that has like some, some Parkers, and some 70s O-Peaches and 60s O-Peaches, maybe a couple of tall boys or something. There'd be a sprinkling in one showcase, and then 7 showcases of everything else.
Yeah, look at the mass. That big volume difference.
Absolutely. Pelican cases, not sure I like that trend. I don't have them, but I don't trade or sell much, mostly buy or hold. That's true, but just keep in mind what I said. The trend notwithstanding, again, that's why I made the joke. I go, guys, I would totally buy a Pelican case because it's actually a better holder for some of the slabs than I currently have. Because right now I've got like a double column one to put those cards in, and it's like, no, actually the Pelican case, especially for the nicer ones, I would rather not have the nicer ones jostling around, even banging the cases against each other. I do a good job of making sure they don't do that. But that other case already has like a foam insert built into it. Okay. It actually can have a practical purpose if you just want to have it on your shelf in your hobby room or whatever the case may be, or your office. You don't have to take it outside. It can be used for something else.
And it's shock resistant. Not resistant, but...
Dude. There's a bunch of YouTube content at the moment from people getting PSA returns, and it's mountains of base. It is. There was a stack of it when people were submitting it. Yeah. And the reasoning I knew it was going to gem is because it was $12 a grade. Yeah. And that a lot of that backlog was generated on cheap submissions of stuff that was cheap that they were hoping to flip as PSA 10s and try to make money when that was viable. Because there was a stretch of time there when it actually did work. If you could get the cards back and sell them and get them out the door. I moved out of Canada in 2004 to Florida. Do people heavily collect modern hockey like they did in the 80s and 90s? No. They collect it, but it's not like it was. You're gonna have product selling, but you've also got less product. So if you sell out a product, it's still less product. In the 80s and 90s, there were pallets and pallets and pallets. I could bury you in base cards in the 1980s. You could go to I think it wasn't Costco then. It would have been maybe Price Club. Because I think it was Price Club if you go to the 80s or the early 90s before they switched over to Costco.
Yeah.
Same company, but like they called it something else. But you could get pallets of boxes of stuff, especially in that late 80s, early 90s period. Like it was to the ceiling. You could wallpaper your house with it.
Yeah, I think a guy bought in a skid of Gretzky rookie for one of the first shows. 90? 91?
Yeah, for the expo you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been the early 90s. Yep. Mm-hmm. Stuff was available.
Terry did.
Stuff was available for a long time. It was, and then eventually dried up, but it took a lot of cycles to get it.
$25 a box, he said.
That's right.
Oh, man. There's cases out there.
Yeah, from '88, hockey was produced extreme. Exactly. Once you go
Yeah.
past, and even if you go back a little bit earlier, it was still produced in numbers, but it got more exaggerated as you head
86
to
wasn't. 85 certainly wasn't. 87 started to. 88 the year.
Yeah,
The year
that's
where
that's the one that.
then they went into factory sets and just
Yeah. Well, it was funny because speaking of the modern side of things, it was funny because I saw a video of everybody's favorite guy, sports card investor, lamenting the recent moves of Panini with Select, because as it turns out, they were doing some analysis. They were starting to look at the newest set that was coming out, or that has come out. I can't remember what the date was, but this was the recent video, and they said for some of there were upwards of 100 or 200 parallels. So not for every player, but you can imagine though, if you collect a very popular player who's in every insert and in everything, you would build a collection just trying to have that one thing.
How can you afford that?
You can't.
Because it's a good star, right? Like,
but here's the part that was killer. Forget about the regular parallels. Let's say you decided to try to narrow your focus to just the rarest of the rare. You decided to really focus your attention. You want to hone in on that. You decided, yeah, I'm going to spend a lot of money, but let me hone in on the specific stuff here.
yeah.
I think they had 31 one of ones. And it's like, we're done. Like, what are we going to do at that point? What's the point?
Like, how
If
much
you're a player
money
collecting
do you
your dead
need
water.
to keep going? And that's just one issue.
Yeah. But the thing is, it also hurts the price of the one of one. How special is it as if there's 30 of them in one set for one player?
Or 3,000 in 30 years going forward.
So it's like, so they really, and the other thing Select did was previously, I want to say it was hobby only, but now they've added retail to it.
Oh.
So you've doubled the amount of places you can sell more wax. So it's like, so now you've absolutely, so you haven't said you increase, tell me you increase production runs without telling me you increase production runs.
Well, isn't there a difference between retail doesn't have the certain cards as the hobby does?
Some of the parallel ones are distinct to the retail versus hobby, but when you stack a full complement of parallels in hobby and a full complement in retail, if you're a player super collector, you've got twice the headache.
Yeah,
is really what's happened to you. It makes people that open them feel like, oh my God, I got so much of these parallels and these different color ones. But the problem is when every box has them, wait a minute, this isn't rare at all.
not at all. No.
So they kind of torpedoed the whole thing. It's like, okay. So let me see here.
Is that greed of the
I want to say guiltily zagged to picking up some cool 90s hockey inserts to match the same basketball inserts I have. I'm not sure. I'm guessing you said guiltily. Not sure about that one. But no, that's cool. If you find, there were some great 90s inserts, and if you enjoy them and you find ones you like the design of, go for it. It can be a fun way to collect. You can have some fun with that.
I don't even think it's zagging. The zig and zag word, you don't zig, you don't zag. You just enjoy what you bought. Have fun with it.
This is the first year they have done retail version of Select. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you, Aussie Card. That's what I was looking for. So he meant quietly. Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense.
Okay.
That makes sense. Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Quietly zagged when what was that?
Quietly zagged into picking up some cool 90s inserts to match some of the basketball inserts he has.
Oh, gotcha.
Which really, the whole thing is, the word has gotten overused, but really all it ever meant was, if the majority of people are doing X, I'm doing Y. Just be contrarian. Basically, I'm looking in the direction that hasn't gotten all the attention yet because I see an opportunity for me to get something interesting to me or
Like
valuable or whatever the case you want to make.
Cricket cards?
That is a major zag. That is a zag that has
It's off
zagged
the
so
end of
far
the-
it's zigged.
It's
That's how
back
far you
around.
zagged. Yeah, you've time is a flat circle. Well,
Yeah.
yeah. Apparently, Select Retail will look different than Hobby, unlike Prism. Okay, that would be good for them to do, but I still feel like it's a lot of stuff they're printing. Like it's a lot of printing on that one.
I think those guys were trolls anyways. They're just coming in to pump the certain cards.
Hey, listen, all I got, the only pumping I heard was soccer. That's the only pumping I heard today.
Cricket.
Yeah. Well, I think the cricket they were less enthusiastic about. I feel like the soccer was more passionately defended tonight.
Yes.
So it was said, Yeah, it's fine. Listen, whatever you guys enjoy. Whatever you guys enjoy. It was said on another channel that recent modern basketball and football set has 78 color palos and 51 of ones of each player. Yeah, I think that's basically what I'm referring to. I'm not sure. I think it's select. I think that's probably the one that they're referring to. And I think the numbers were even higher. That's what I mean. Like the numbers that I heard, I have to listen to it again because the numbers that I heard were so absurd that I have to go look at the checklist myself because I'm like, if that's remotely true, it's like, I would hate to even attempt it. That would be misery. Good luck to them.
How can you look forward to collecting your star when every set and they're putting out and the cost and the expense? That's not a hobby. You know, my wife would kill me spending $1,000 a month.
Yeah, it's the money is a big part of
Minimum.
it. Yeah, the money's a big part of it, but I would throw a different angle as well. Let's pretend even if the money wasn't the issue. Let's pretend you can reasonably pick up because let's say it's printed so much that the demand also adjusts accordingly, and let's say the price is reasonable. Let's say it's not so bad.
Well, then it doesn't matter then at that point.
It doesn't though. I don't feel like it's fun to try to find like 100 or 200 for one set that's just copies of the same card.
Yeah, true.
A little bit is okay because a rainbow and you can show off a couple of versions of the same card and put it in a picture. That's kind of fun. That could be fun. 200 of them or 100, that's not fun. That doesn't sound like fun anymore. Now you've zagged so far from fun that you've zigged. We've gotten past fun. Now it's not a challenge anymore. Now it's just a job.
It's a money job. Yeah. It's just a matter of having the money and buying it. Yeah.
So Rick here says somebody needs to take a picture of Bobby at the expo with his Pelican case or Zion case. Let's not discriminate. And his cameraman making a modern car deal. Could you make a deal with Sasha T and negotiate back at him for the $500?
Oh, I can.
That would be good content. That would be good hashtag content.
That'd be the best.
And then it turns out we pan back and you guys are just arguing about a $1 comment.
And guess I don't have cards, guys, so I don't need a Pelican case.
I will lend you a card so that you can justify your Pelican case.
I have cards, but I don't have a use for one.
Yeah, but we need a really crummy card, Bobby. That'll make the joke better.
But you said it looks good on the shelf, right? So maybe
it can. I think it would actually be useful for what I'm going to do with some of the cards that I have. I could actually find a use for it.
Useful for you, yes. Of
course. I don't see the utility in carting it around though. Like for me, that's actually more of a because it's a little suitcase. It's a little bit more of a pain than it's worth. Most of the cards that I have can fit in the pockets of the backpack.
Yeah.
Now, if you're buying really expensive cards, then I kind of get it. Fine. But most of the cards that I'm buying do not necessitate the extra treatment. The good PC cards are staying at home anyway, so they're not traveling.
Mm-hmm.
So Ziggy says, good show, good evening. Came in late trying to keep up. We'll finish later. Appreciate your show. Fair enough. Thank you.
Hey, Ziggy.
So my main player PC prices are too high, so I'm collecting similar cards of other players alike. That's fair. That's good. Ultramodern. I've seen this movie before, aka 1990. It doesn't end well. But we're still here.
Yep.
Like I get Robert's point, but everybody always laments the crash of the 90s. That wasn't a bad thing. It was a good thing. Crash again. Go for it.
It forged forward for the vintage collectors.
If we can
turn this around. I'm sorry.
No, I said that's a huge part of it. But the other thing is though, like for the modern collector, I was collecting modern as well. We didn't stop. We didn't care. Mm-mm. You were able to get it cheaper. So what's the problem?
Everything was affordable to an affordable degree.
So it's like if you're a collector, who cares? So to your last sentence, it ends great. If that's the story we're writing here, it ends tremendously.
What was the most expensive, highest grade? If there was grades even back then, there wasn't. Not until 91 too. Pro set, whatever. At that point, the highest graded card set of 91. What was the highest price paid for what card?
Oh, in 91, the highest grade? The highest paid for a graded card in 91?
New card.
Oh, new card. I was about to say the Honus Wagner.
Okay, just say 91 in any. Yeah.
Yeah, that it was graded in 91. It was graded in 91, and it was sold in 91.
And it was trimmed in 91.
Correct.
I'll never get off that anyways.
Correct.
But no, what card set? Okay, there's no grading. What was the most expensive card in 91 that was new, that came out in 91?
Oh, you mean an actual card period, regardless of...
An actual card period. You can even go into basketball, football, baseball, whatever you want.
Yeah. What I'm trying to think of is, what would have been the hot card in 91?
Well, there's quite a few, but value-wise...
No, for sure. I'm just trying to think, because Beckett was out at that point. They would have still had their hot list already, right? So I'd be curious, maybe that's a look at the back issue. and be like, because whatever's on the hot list would have been what, because usually they stuck to current cards for the most part. So I'd be
Yes.
curious to see what the 1990-91 card in 91 was the hottest of the hot at that moment.
Yeah.
I would think I would think like 91-92 Griffey's rookie, upper deck rookie for 89 would have been a good ticket still, for sure, because he was a very popular card.
At $50.
Good question. I think, but we can. The good news is we can refer back to those ones and check out the guide. I did pick up some early '90s Beckett's, although I don't have a '91. I might have a '92. I grabbed a couple of the magazines. I picked up a small lot of them.
I do have the basketball team checklist, alphabetical.
Yep. I'll quickly read through a couple of these comments here, just getting caught up. Soccer started getting pushed to kids in North America around 80 to 84 and never really caught fire. Soccer pro market is a mirage. It is less followed in North America than hockey. Very niche-y. That has stood up so far. If it crashes again, I still have the cards I like. All good. 90% of my 99% of my collection is not going anywhere anyway. Fair enough. Not speaking of collectors, but lots of people were burned on the hype train in the late 80s, 90s. Yeah, I get you, Robert. But again, who cares? Now, like, I mean this seriously. Let's pretend this goes. So what? And? Like, seriously. I mean this. And? I see no downside here. What's the problem? 1991, big set was pro set for both hockey and football. Okay, gotcha. Griffey UD rookie. Yep. 91 Desert Shield. That's a good one. Yeah, those were a hot ticket at that time because they were contemporary, right?
Yeah.
And they were a little tougher to come by. Like not super rare, but definitely tougher. A little tougher to come by, especially by 1991 standards. They were downright short printed by 1991 standards. I wish I'd spent more money on vintage 1990 instead of buying the current year. I speak as a collector. Cool. Well, if the market crashes, you can buy it again. McGuire rookies. UD French Young Guns were hot. Yes, the UD French Young Gun. That's true. Yeah,
the French.
Yeah, the French, the upper deck French. That's very true. That's very true.
What's his name sold a case of that for the store. You remember?
Sorry, repeat that.
He sold a case of that for the Slugger store.
Oh, yes.
Carlos, not you, but the
Carlos with a K.
Yeah.
Yeah, the other Carlos. Yeah.
Yeah, they're Carlos.
Well, he was in the Jack of All Trades documentary. Come on,
he was
Carlos with a K.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So he sold is that the case French? Okay, so we have one outlier. So
yeah, well, he traded it for the store, I think,
yes,
to get the store. Yeah, that tells you the value that was held in the case at the time.
Yes,
it was a big part of the deal, right?
And now they're worth.
Yeah.
Pretty
so
close.
Aussie Card Dad inserts pre 92, not a lot. Although, actually, let me ask a question. Let me pose a question. Obviously, when we're talking about the current state of inserts, not a lot. The answer is not a lot. No. You might have had like Donruss Elite. They were definitely out in 1991. They were there for sure. They were like impossible to pull, even though they were out of 10,000. But you had to buy cases and cases to get one.
Because they made billions, yeah.
Exactly. But I have a question. From an insert perspective, just so we get our Steve off in the distance, we'll be pleased. Nomenclature, so we get our nomenclature correct. Just for Steve.
That's
Bronco 79.
Steve, yes, of course.
But do we consider any of the so you know how you got rack packs and you would get like those all-star cards and stuff? Is an insert just a card that isn't in every pack, or maybe is in every pack, but you have to build like a mini set or whatever? Do you want to count those as inserts? What do you consider those to be? They're not subsets because they're not part of the base set. They're in packs, but there's something else.
Inserts are usually part of the subset.
Okay.
So if you get like the Team Canada, like they did those, or the Russians, or they did in the 91 Peaches, those, there was one in every pack.
Yeah.
One out of 25 or 30, whatever.
Yeah. Would you consider any of those inserts by definition, or no?
Yeah. Those are. We have to think of old world thinking opposed to new world thinking.
No, that's why I'm trying to make a distinction here. If we're talking about what we consider an insert today,
plus one, it's an insert back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
10 cards plus one insert. That's what I would pronounce it as. As in the set. So one insert is whatever it is.
Yeah.
So you would get one in every pack. Random. There was no really randoms.
Yeah, that's true.
That I would say.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I just want to, it's a little tricky distinction. I would say if we're talking an insert in the current thought process that we consider an insert, the early 90s was the start in the current iteration. That's probably the closest we can get to accurate on that one. What did a Gretzky, Howe, and Orr rookies cost 20 years ago? We did actually have a little fun where we did that price guide thing a while back. I feel like
20 years ago, but 30 years ago, pretty low.
Yeah, because I think by the early 1990s, the Gretzky was pretty much in its holding pattern of that price for quite a while, because it had that price that it stuck at, and then eventually it got bumped up.
It
But
was 200, and then about that time,
yeah,
250, and then it jumped up to 800.
it was like 800 for a really long time. It was 800.
Went from there to there. It didn't even really go up in between that. It just kind of jumped, and now it's jumped. What does Beckett have it at? 3,600.
Thereabouts, something like that now. Yeah.
But that's near mint, so that's an 8. Graded 8 goes for how much is that? 15, 20?
Oh, they graded like a PSA 8.
PSA 8.
I'll pull it up. Quickly grab a couple of comments here. Upper Deck Czech hockey was hot. They sent cases. Yeah. Any like language variants, like the Czech hockey cards, the UD French and stuff like that. I remember
those. Yeah.
Yeah. Anything that felt like it was out of the ordinary, because the rest of it was so available. Like, Upper Deck, you could find it anywhere. So if you were looking at any of that stuff, if it was different, people were interested because there's something else, because they just assumed it was scarce. It's like, well, it's UD French. So PSA 8, about $6,000 right now.
Oh, $6,000. Okay, yeah.
Which is still a pretty nice card. Not too bad.
So if you need $6,000, they're doing 36. So you're down about, and a 7 is what, 35?
7 is
38.
27.
That's 27. Ooh.
Oh, sorry. Let me get the last sold price. Remember, this is the thing I said about the card. I was looking at the green one.
Where's Card Ladder when you need it?
I was like, no, I was using it, but I was looking at the green one. I need to look at the one underneath. 3,050 was the last sold for the 7. For the 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah. So they're at 3,600. That's too tight for raw.
Yeah. What I'll say, Rick, is that if you go 30 years ago or 20 years ago, sorry, if you go 20 years ago, 20 years ago would have been early 2000s. Yeah. So actually, yeah. So I'm thinking 30. Sorry. 30. So I'm thinking 30. So if I go 20 years ago to the early 2000s, the Gretzky would have already been in like 800. Yeah, the Gretzky would have been already in the 800s.
It was 800 then. Yeah.
The Howe would have already been. The Howe would have been really up there, and the Orr would have been really up there already for a while, because they stayed pretty stable once they hit their level. They stayed at that number because Beckett didn't adjust it for a long time. They just left it.
But grading came in and changed a lot of that.
Yeah, I'm staying away from the graded. If you just stick with what's in the Beckett at the time around 2000, they were pretty stable in that price for a while.
They were.
Yeah.
For raw, yes.
Absolutely. So insert is a card that is not in the complete set as far as flagship baseball. Yeah, that's fair. Aussie card that says a card that is not base numbered and has pack odds. The pack odds is the part that I was focusing in on. That's why I say like early 90s is kind of where I want to push it there.
There's no pack odds in the stuff I'm thinking of as for inserts. Yeah.
So let me look here. There were chase cards too. Let me look here. Oh, Robert makes a good point. Let me double check. Yeah, sorry, I had the tops one. Let me update the correct one.
I was kind of thinking that it was a little low.
Why give me the tops one first? What's the point? No one cares about the tops one. Okay, 79 O-Pee-Chee Gretzky. O-Pee-Chee, PSA 8, last sold 19,000. Same as what Robert has in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
I said 1520, but I'm.
Yeah, and the 7 is 6.
And 7 is, ooh, that's a big jump down, eh?
Yeah.
6, and then you got a 9 going for 200K. Oh, the jump. The jump is crazy, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they're not bad, actually. I guess at 36 being 7. So yeah. So you almost take it down to a 6.5 raw for an 8 grade, graded grade, price-wise. So.
I think it's fair. So collector says I'd say insert were the ones where it said pack odds. I tend to agree. I think if we're going to consider what is today an insert, I think pack odds should be involved. I think that's valid. And also, good evening, Victor.
I opened packs when it didn't have pack odds.
Yep. Yes, Rick, I do check Card Ladder when I don't want to go through eBay comps. I'd rather not. Especially since some of them get cycled through and eBay listings are a little bit off. Also remember that some of the stuff, if you're talking about the graded ones, a lot of the graded ones, some of them, if you want to see some of the current ones, you have to go to Golden's too. Yeah. You got to go open up Golden because a lot of folks are sending them through there. So you have to go look there. Earliest pack out inserts I have and can remember, Fleer Basketball 92. Yep, right around that time. And there was also that the Beam team, which was early 90s. There was the Shaq and the Jordan and stuff like that. That would have been another early insert for basketball. Same vein.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's the one where Robert said, 19,000. You're bang on. Subsets were extracted from the base sets and turned into insert cards. Chase cards started 91 baseball Reggie Jackson autos. Yep. Yep. So yeah, so people were chasing. So kind of early '90s is still that sweet spot when they started playing around with that. And same with, like I said, those Donruss Elites were also '91. So right around that same time period.
So how much would the chase card go for then, Victor?
So like the '91 Reggie Jackson auto, something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, today it's pretty good. I don't remember what they were going for. I know they weren't. I know they were tough to come by actually, especially considering the time period.
I'm putting perspective into the year of '91, and we had the boom. And what was the highest price card around that time, or maybe even the top 5 highest price cards? And then if we fast forward it to now, it's a dramatic difference.
Yep. So let's see here. I remember the Howe rookie being valued around 3,000 Nearman for the longest time, around 20, 25 years ago. Probably. That sounds about right.
51, yeah.
Yeah, 51.
I hate the 51s.
They're ugly. They're just not attractive at all.
Yep.
It would have been nice because in the early 50s, they had nice cards. Bowman was making nice. I would love to. You know what would have been nice? If, again, they weren't doing it. I get it. But what would have been cool would have been is if Bowman had decided to take a shot at doing a hockey set in the early 50s. And we had gotten a Howe Bowman rookie.
He was good friends with George Kennedy, William Parkhurst. Like they were very, very good friends.
Sure.
And I know Warren Bowman got into land investing, and I think George Kennedy did with him as well. And they were friends and buddied around a lot together. So it probably would have worked out if Topps didn't take him over. So.
Yeah, I think it would have been interesting though, because if you remember, because what I'm envisioning is Bowman in 1950, they had the little square cards, but they were at least drawn. They were these little drawn cards, which are much more attractive than what 51, 52 Parkers came out as. It's like it just wasn't very good. So just imagine a Gordie Howe, 1950, right there around that time, because Howe was already playing with the 40s. So you imagine something like that, and then you try that in a hockey card. Would have been kind of cool.
Oh, I think it would have been great. Because they fit right into it, you know. It's just,
exactly.
Look at.
Yep. This is 51 Bowman. Yeah. Yes. So imagine if instead of the Gordie Howe that we got, we get something like that with 51.
This one's near mint. Where's the top one?
1991 Russian O-Pee-Chee cards are subset, not an insert. Yeah. They had their own checklist.
See, I have Bowman. I have early baseball.
Well, which player was it?
Stan. Is that what I think it is? Project.
Okay, gotcha. There were sets in the late 80s and early 90s that had SP autos from certain players, which this time I assume would be valuable.
Late 80s?
Early 90s, I remember for sure. We're talking that Reggie Jackson, and I believe there were some other ones. I don't remember anything from the late 80s that had an inserted autograph. I feel like that came out in the early 90s. I'd have to think about that one. I don't believe anything in the late 80s would have had an inserted autograph like that.
No, nothing. Not hockey for sure. And baseball, boy, I don't know. Victor, what do you think?
Yeah, I have to think about that one. I like this suggestion. So this is a good one from Robert. What about the hockey version of 48 Leaf? A 48 Leaf Gordie Howe would be sweet. That would be a really good... Like, that would be... The 54 Topps is my favorite Gordie Howe, but that would be a really good take on it. Because, again, you're getting a lot closer to his actual rookie year. So you're getting that.
This is rookie.
Yeah,
so.
you're getting at least closer. So it'd be cool to have, late 1940s Gordie Howe image of some kind in that style, because some of those cards became really iconic, and it would be a great card, and people would love it.
Yeah, if they would have taken, I know because George Kennedy, that was his first kick at the cat, so to speak. He wanted to give more cards and keep it cheap because he's paying $5,000 each, or $3,000 each team. So, that's you get 6 teams. That's a lot of money for 5-cent gum.
Sounds fair. Anybody else? I know you guys have been taking a couple stabs at it. You want to take a stab at any? Does anybody remember? So I'll just play off Kazi Card Dad's suggestion here. Does anybody remember any late 80s autographed? I don't. I genuinely have no recollection. I can't think of one. But it would have, not for the major players anyway, because Upper Deck introduced that was part of where they were distinguishing themselves. They were trying to do something a little different. Topps wouldn't have done that, not at that time. Donruss, I don't think, thought of anything like that. Fleer, no. I'm really not thinking anything
sure.
like that. Score was out in '88, but they weren't doing anything like that. So it's like I can't think of one. By early '90s, sure. 91 Upper Deck had the Nolan Ryan. It was Nolan Ryan Chase. 1990 was Reggie, and I think Willie Mays was '92. Yeah, that one sounds right.
It's all 90s there.
Yeah. So once you get into the early '90s, then some of those possibilities came up.
So the price of those cards back then were, even being a chase card, would be $100, 200, 500 maybe.
They were pretty tough though, especially with the amount of boxes and stuff. They would have been a tough pull.
So even if you use a $500, that's your biggest card value back in 91, let's just say, or 92.
Yeah, we're still talking for a contemporary card, right? We're using that specific caveat
Yeah,
for a contemporary
of that
card.
time. Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
of course. I'm not going back. So yeah, I'm just saying. And then fast forward to today and pick the top card that you can pull out of this year's or last year's set. What's it worth? What's the top 20 cards worth?
Almost as much as Bobby Burrow makes from book sales.
You'd think.
Almost. A little bit. Yeah. The Jackie Robinson 48 Leaf is indeed an iconic card. I do agree, Robert. I do agree.
I don't think you could buy a home for $500 back then, could you? House? Anyways, that is the difference.
Yeah, I think so.
And I think that's what drives people is, you know, there's some money in it for sure. Yeah. It's fun to collect your players.
I think I think it's one of those things though. That's what played into that part of the conversation about some of those other sports. I want to see what happens once if the money is not as easy to come by. It doesn't even have to go away. If it's not as easy, if you actually have to, you know, go through the coals to eke out those 10, 15, 20% gains, some people are going to be out because it's not because then okay, now you're going to really have to work at it. You're going to have to really go through all these steps. And the profit margins are very tiny, and it's not going to be as fun, right?
And they're just really not in the stores for kids. Like I said, you have to go to a local card store to get packs. You can't even buy them in the variety store anymore. I think you can. You can buy the junky whatever they have there. I don't even know. 50 cents a pack, whatever's in there. It's just garbage.
Yeah.
So that's the big difference between today and yesterday, I guess, in the collecting field. So everybody could afford cards. Everybody could buy cards anywhere at any time for a nominal fee. Today is not so much the case. So it takes it to a different level of type of collecting, I say.
That is right. So I'm just trying to see if any of you guys know the answer off the top of your heads. Give it a go, but I'll see if I can grab an answer for Rick here.
First Gretzky auto? Oh, shit.
This would have been the first Gretzky auto that was in a product.
96, 98.
I'm thinking, I want to say it was the Be a Player.
Be a Player, probably.
Because that would have been like 94, and that's kind of what I'm thinking off the top of my head. Yeah, I'm actually going to be able to get the answer in about 30 seconds here. I'm logged into Beckett here because I can sort it by year and get the first one that counts as our autograph. So I will find the answer, but if you guys want to take a stab at it before it comes up for me, so give it a go if any of you can remember. I feel like Be a Player though feels like the right one. So let me see here. So it looks like
Sign of the Times, though?
No, that would have been okay. So according to this, there was a 93 UDA Upper Deck authenticated commemorative card. So this would have been a 93-94 Upper Deck jumbo print run of 500. So that was 93.
Card? Jumbo size card?
That's what it sounds like, yeah.
So that doesn't really classify as a. Sounds like it wasn't in a pack, you know.
Yep, that's why I'm thinking 94 still. Because
so would that be redemption, or do you buy them separately?
I feel like that would be redemption. Yeah, here we go. 94-95 Be a Player autograph.
Yeah.
Print run of 300.
Wow.
Yeah, so 94-95 Be a Player.
That would be a great card to pick up, value-wise.
Oh, yeah. Now, that you got to remember those ones, because the reason I was pretty sure that was the case, that was the year they were using NHLPA jerseys.
Ah.
So this was around the strike year. Remember, this was around the lockout year. So these are NHLPA cards. So Gretzky is in an NHLPA jersey on the card. It is hard signed autographed. Yep. It is hard signed autograph.
That's a card. What's that card worth today?
I don't know. That one I don't buy the hockey pricing. It says I got the link that says buy pricing. If I want to click on it, the answer is no. I don't. Lord knows. You'd have to see what the going rate would be these days. Yeah, no worries, Rick. It's an interesting question. So it's going back in memory banks because, like I said, I felt like I was pretty sure it was Be a Player, but I was like, let me check. Let me make sure my memory's still good on that. 90 or 91 score baseball had Mantle, Griffey, co-signature sign cards. Yes, there were some early 90s ones for score as well. And they're very popular today because I feel like there was one that was like a painted picture of the two, and I think both of them signed it, or at least Mantle did for sure. And it's a nice looking card. It's a really nice card. Bobby David vintage sets are cards from your childhood.
None. They got all thrown out. Given away, what have you. Nothing from the childhood. I had one card. Just one card from 1970. I gave that to my brother, though.
Okay. So auto grade flipping is not needed worth it anymore. Yeah, exactly. There were definitely some huge pack out autos from 91. Karl Malone, Jerry West. Yeah. I feel like based on a lot of what we're talking about here, I feel like 91 was the first year they gave that a go. They just said, all right, let's start inserting some pack. The odds are going to be long. Like you're not, even if they say there's 1,000 of them, which there probably were, well, 1,000 over the course of how many cases, you can very much spread it. So it's one of those things like, yeah, it was a tough pull.
Yeah.
91 Upper Deck Gretzky had autos. Not to my recollection. I couldn't find anything on here. If there were any signed, it might have been signed after the fact, or maybe signed at the time on the card. But as far as pack pulled, 94 is the earliest that I can recall, and that seems to bear fruit from the from what I could find in the checklist here. I may remember incorrectly, but there was a 91 Upper Deck Michael Jordan baseball card. No, you don't. There was a 91 Upper Deck Michael Jordan baseball card. He was with the Birmingham Barons, but I believe he was pictured as a White Sox. That was during.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, because now that was before he quit basketball to go play baseball. They had a baseball card of him. I think it was it had a different number on it. I forget what it is, like SP1 or something like that. I forget. But yeah, there was definitely a 91 Upper Deck Michael Jordan baseball card.
Yep,
That is true.
I remember that.
A neat card. Not particularly rare. That's what made it funny when it started getting boosted like everything else. It's like, guys, it's not rare. That card's been around forever. Or like you could have bought it on showcases for a couple of bucks for the longest time. It was always available.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's the transition point here we're looking at is how far grading has taken the hobby. The third party has really run the roost of pricing increases over the last 20 years, 30 years, sorry.
That's fair. So that Jordan card is now worth $7.50 and sat at $15 for many years. Yep. Yep. It was always available for the longest time, forever. It really was.
See, that's not organic though. At that point,
Well,
I fight against organic because organic is long lasting, whereas I don't know where this stuff is going. We'll see. NFTs will be interesting.
I would love see Ozzy Cardad. I know you're joking, but I would love for someone to try to make that pitch, because then we can get the I think it's 91 score. We could get the 91 score Lindros baseball card.
Yeah.
As a baseball rookie. All aboard the train, guys. Let's do it.
Watch out, Victor's typing right now.
I know, right? Oh, here we go. Robert caught that one too. Eric Lindros had a score baseball card. Yes, exactly. I always liked when they would try stuff like that, though. It's fun. They were fun cards. Like it was just, oh, Eric Lindros' batting practice. What the hell's going on here?
Oh, they did so much stuff back then. Eating hot dogs at the zoo, all these other stupid things they did. They were trying stuff.
Well, it was fun. Or during the height of the Jordan documentary, one of the dumbest cards that went up in price was the, I want to say 91 Skybox. And I went and picked up one on ComC for a couple of bucks. Because I thought it was very funny. I figured it would be a good memento of the silliness of the time. And I think I paid like $3 or $4 for it.
The Skybox were the bottom of the barrel. Like.
Yeah. But you know what? For $3 or $4 as a novelty item, that's the appropriate price to pay for something that's
true
for a laugh. But on the back of the card, Jordan's playing golf.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting little thing. So in the front, he's doing a dunk, the usual thing, and they got the Skybox thing going on. But on the back, he's playing golf. So it's kind of a weird. They got
golf
some weird
rookie.
pictures. Yeah, exactly. But they've got some weird. What they did with that year's Skybox is they had weird candid pictures of the player on the back. So the front would be them playing basketball, doing whatever they're doing, and then on the back though you'd have these weird pictures of them in all kinds of situations, or playing golf, or doing whatever they're doing.
I think I even have some Skybox basketball around somewhere in a box.
There you go. Random basketball cards for the win.
Oh yeah, I got some random stuff. Just unbelievable. Usually for documentation or just packs I had that I opened, or with my son we opened different stuff. I remember I went down to the when I lived in the condo, go down to the garbage room. If it didn't fit down the chute, you would take it down to the garbage room. So I went down with my son and we went to throw some stuff out in the bin. So we went into the garbage room and there's a whole box sitting there, 91 score and uh, pro set, and there was everything in it. It was a box full. So we had a party. We just opened up everything. Actually, this is a cool pack that I have.
That was always the fun part, though, kind of with what you're saying in your story. That was always the fun of the. Here's the thing: as much as people complain about the junk wax era, you know what the good part about it was? Because it was junk wax. Those of us that were around during that time and want to have a quick moment of nostalgia on the cheap could get these boxes for basically nothing. Open up a couple packs. Oh, I remember that guy. Yeah, I remember that guy.
It's just memories, right?
Yeah, it's a fun moment. It's not a big deal. It was cheap. That was the whole point of that stuff.
You see, I have this pack unopened.
So that's the 84?
No, it's various. It goes from
Oh, so it's
79,
assorted. Okay.
79 OPG, and it says 50 original out of print collectible tops and OPG cards. Different years, no reprints. By here's what the back says. You read about it in national magazines and seen it on television. Sports cards are America's fastest growing hobby and an excellent investment.
But they didn't put the hashtag. They didn't put the hashtag. It's not legit.
Yeah, prices are soaring. Can hockey cards be far behind?
So they were trying to make fetch happen even back then. Guys, can hockey be far behind? Yes, hockey is very far behind. We're still waiting.
Card was issued in 1912. Prices ranged to $1,000 to $2,000.
Mm-hmm.
Tops America's first base. What's it? Wayne Gretzky. Here we go. They're assigning increasing prices for hockey cards. Recent hockey cards that soared in value $1 include Wayne Gretzky, Mario Lemieux, Dennis Savard, and Yari Curry. The first rookie card of Wayne Gretzky from 79-80 Topps set is currently priced at roughly $25 in mint condition. These are from 88.
The thing that I like about it, though, is that they also reference in mint condition, because because the Beckett was only going up to near mint. Now, obviously, mint existed, the grade, but it's funny though that they would reference the mint condition when at that point Beckett was using near mint.
And it even says, even with the growth of in popularity of the price of hockey cards, they are still a low-cost hobby and low-risk investment in a rapidly expanding field of sports cards.
I need the hashtags, otherwise I can't accept it. It's just
all in the back.
So real quick here. Baz was including a piece of information here about the 1990 Skybox. So this is actually the one that I bought that card of. So for reference, I paid $4 for a raw copy. But this is going to be the PSA 10 that we'll put on here. So I don't know if you can read that. I can make it a little bit bigger. Hold on, sorry. Yeah. Let me grab that again. Make sure I got the tab right. Here we go. I'll pull the comment down here. So quickly, ignore the big green one because unfortunately, so the last one actually sold for $317 for the PSA 10. But here's the key. If you go back a little ways, so I think, let me see, what's the time period on this? This goes back only a couple of months until May. One sold for $665. But if you go back to the height of absolutely the mania, so I'm going to shrink it for a second. So let's go back maybe 2 years. Let's see what the absolute peak was. So you can see, like, here is, by the way, this is 2019. What I'm doing over here, this is 2019. $32.
What month is that?
So right here, this is
before the rise.
This whole period here ends at right about February 2020. $44 in February 2020.
Full COVID.
So right here. Well, this is just literally weeks before. Boom. Right here, $330 in April. But that is not the peak.
Nope.
The peak is all the way over about here.
Yeah.
The 665 was actually in June. This past June. So only a month ago or so. Well, a month and change.
That's one sale, is it not?
I can double check the list.
Because really you have there's no stability there, really.
Yeah, but here's the period where I'll say it kind of hung in there. And this is where right now, early 2021. So it was still here. And then just in the immediate aftermath of COVID, it was here. And then it just kind of hung around at about $140, $150. But still, for a card that literally was a couple of bucks.
Yeah.
And literally was available to anybody who wanted one for $4 or less,
Hmm.
but it's the golf rookie. So there you go. Now you know. Hashtag invest.
Yeah, his golf rookie, sure.
Yeah.
How many rookie cards can Jordan have?
But in relative terms to where it was, yes, quite high. I do agree with that. So a local
Yes.
ABC TV station did a two-part series to Luke Longley because he wasn't included in The Last Dance. And they managed to get a sit-down interview with MJ for it. Definitely worth a watch. Oh, that's cool. Nice.
They're trying again.
1990 Fleer is cool. Has a cool action shot as well. Very good. Crap ton of early MJs flooding the market for people. Yeah, because right around that Last Dance, people just, they just like, how much can we send in? All the Jordans. It didn't matter if they were sitting there from 1990 Fleer or whatever.
I think guys are doing the pop report and checking out how much every month it's going up in certain places.
Yeah.
I
Well,
forget
what's
which
funny
video
is
it was.
what's funny is the Skybox. The Skybox has definitely exploded. Has definitely exploded in terms of the number of cards in it. Not as quickly as you'd think, though. So if I go back, let me go backwards here. Actually, no, sorry. They're definitely starting to come in because the time period isn't as long as I thought. So actually, it has exploded even recently. It was 770 was the pop on that Jordan Skybox that I showed you, and that was back in May. So May 2021. Right now, it's just shy of 900.
Okay.
But right now, that's just still early returns. So we'll see as more of the Last Dance stuff comes in. And but 200 cards in about 3 months is still quite a bit for a card that basically wasn't graded prior to that. Like nobody really ever sent it in. So for the longest, I can promise you, if you go back in time further, they are only tracking to a certain point here. But if you go back further and further, like 2 years ago, the pop was probably like 10, something low, because not too many people would have bothered.
Well, because everyone's looking for the upswing of what's next, so everyone was jumping on every angle.
Mm-hmm. It's exactly right. It's exactly right.
Like cricket's next for sure. You guys aren't in cricket. You don't know much.
From your words to God's ears, Bobby. We can only hope. Can it be next? Hashtag invest.
Where is he?
We're going.
He's not showing up now.
1991 Skybox. Yeah. But here's the thing. The Skybox cards were cheap, but they looked interesting. Especially for the time period. They were trying stuff. They were meant to be cheap cards, but at least they had some fun with the designs. They were funky designs. They were and again, they were junk wax. If you wanted to open up some basketball cards with your kids and show them, like if you were a fan of the 90s and wanted to show your kids something, you could go buy one of those boxes and go, hey, let me show you. Hey, Charles Barkley. Hey, here's Michael Jordan. Here's this guy.
You could buy a pack at the store.
Yeah, absolutely. And they would be sitting there sometimes as really cheap packs for kids. And you go, yeah, grab them a couple of packs of this. They like basketball. Here you go.
Yeah.
1990 Skybox is tougher gem because of the border color. Yeah, because they use kind of that coppery thing there. And they would chip, for sure. 100%. But just because something is difficult, that's kind of the analogy I use with Pro Set Hockey. The first year of it, the 1991. They printed 1 trillion of them, approximately. They might still be printing them now. If you listen off in the distance, you can hear the printing machine still making more 1990, 91 Pro Set as we
Sounds
speak.
like a Gutenberg, yeah.
Yeah. So, but what happened was, if you look at the cards, though, the quality control out of the packs is atrocious because some cards were miscut right out of the pack. I opened real packs that the cards would be different sizes out of the pack. Like they had quality control issues all over the place. And they had dark edges, colorful dark edges that could chip like crazy. You could chip corners, you could chip edges. So actually getting a nice condition one, to this day, the Pro Set PSA 10 Medano is like 60 or 70 is the pop, something like that, maybe 80.
Oh, wow.
The O-Pee-Chee Premier is 1,000.
Yes.
So it's
Those
like,
were cut beautifully,
yeah,
yes.
yeah. By comparison, like they're easy to get, but you'd be sending a bunch of the Pro Set one. It's like 9, 9, 8, 7, like chipping, guys, chipping. But does that mean the Pro Set is expensive? No. Is it a condition scarcity? Actually, it is with the sheer quantity. Like, go open cases and try to find a couple of nice ones. You might actually have a struggle.
Yeah, that's demand, and it'll probably never get to any point.
But that's the point. This is a situation where you can legitimately say, for condition scarcity, it is a legitimately hard issue to find nice copies of.
Sure.
but nobody wants them. So it doesn't
right.
matter. So it's like, yes, it's rare. In that condition, it is indeed rare. No one wants it, but it is indeed
even
rare.
If you get a 10.
Yeah, even if you get a 10.
Yeah, definitely.
That's an important distinction. It's like, guys, it's supply and demand. We need the second part too.
900 PSA 10s.
Yeah,
Still
PSA
a
10
fraction
still
of
fraction.
Luca.
Yeah, I expect that one to go up a little bit more though. If we've gone up 200 in
Yes.
like the last 2.5 months, there's still a lot sitting at PSA probably. David Robinson Skybox rookie cost 15 Canadian at 1990 in Toronto. That card was expensive even then. And Howard Johnson was still a hot card. Yes, Howard Johnson for the Mets was still a hot card in baseball. That is true. There were some weird guys that became, like I said, if you want to illustrate it and you like having stuff like that around, you can probably go get some old Beckett's and go check some of the old hot lists, and you'll see what at that moment. It's a snapshot in time. It'll tell you what was going on at that moment.
I have all the price guides. I'm good with that. It's just putting it in perspective for explaining what I was talking about with collecting. You could spend $100 on cards and get a ton of them, and the top ones too. Today you couldn't spend $100 on one card. That's not even close to the top. So big difference. So I'm scared for the younger crowd coming in and trying to sustain the market after the generation behind me, which is even behind you.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the reason why. That's the reason why. Like when I try to be very honest about this. Is that I don't see it. If it happens, it happens. But at the same time, it's like, look, things move in cycles. They're supposed to. Yeah. So it's like, why worry about it?
I'm not.
But there are a lot of people that do spend like an inordinate amount of time. It's like, why are you so concerned about it? Just relax. If it does come to pass, so be it. That's what needs to happen.
Yeah. Don't hedge all your bets on it. So
yeah, and it's like, if it goes forward after that, awesome. If it cycles around again, awesome again. I'm not worried about it either way. Like, it'll be what it's going to be.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. Long run wise.
I don't know where it's going. I hear, the NFT market, we don't know what's going on there. But, possession is 9/10 of collecting. The first 10th of that would be probably the passion, right?
Yeah, I think it's it.
Now it's not even, it's 9/10 it's investing. And the first 10th would be either the grade or the price. So there you go.
The hashtag investing is key, Bobby. The hashtag investing is key. It's important. Look, man, we need to get past this ridiculousness. What I need to do is I need to get Ed to come on here at some point, and he'll just explain to you all that you just need to buy Doge. That's it. That's all you need to do. Just buy some Doge.
Didn't it go down?
Of course it went down. Crypto in general went down for a little bit there. It has shot back up a little bit. The Bitcoin and Ethereum. Ethereum is the one that I'm keeping an eye out on because it's been actually, because they changed one of the protocols. There is a technology element to this because they actually made a change to the protocol on Ethereum. It was planned. It was going to happen.
Okay.
But what happened is, as part of the protocol, the way they do it, and I'm still getting some of the particulars of it, but what happens is it results in some of the Ethereum getting destroyed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it's part of the design. So what happens, though, is that a lot of these are inflationary cryptocurrencies. Like, they add more over time. The thing with Bitcoin always is that there is a finite amount. There is a point at which there will be no more. Now, with Ethereum, technically, I believe there's an upper limit, but it's higher. But at the same time, part of what they're trying to do is they're trying to develop a protocol where they plan. So this is one phase of it. But there is a planned change down the road where they want to change the way that people can mine it. And if they do, it will reduce the incentive for people to put it in a lot of those third world countries where they use really crummy environment. Because of the way they change, if they do this change, it will not benefit them to have those big mining farms in China or wherever.
Got it.
And if they do that, it may become a little bit deflationary, which means each Ethereum becomes more valuable. Yes. Because Ethereum is also used for a lot of those NFTs. It's part of the underlying currency used for them. So all of a sudden you've increased the utility and you've put a control on supply.
Yep. So that's actually good.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So it's like, it gives
predict that. That's good.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Like, the folks that are paying attention, a lot of folks are just like looking at the number. They're just literally watching the number go up and down. They're like, oh, it's going up, buy, or it's going down, sell. And it's like, why don't you pay attention to what they're planning? Because they literally told you what they were planning. There was a timeline on this.
Yeah.
It's like, and what happened was some of the stuff that went away, it went up by a certain percentage. It corresponded with some of the burn of some of the Ethereum that was removed. It actually flowed mathematically with what happened. So it's like you could have almost predicted it to the percentage point if you were just paying attention. So you could have bought it right before. And by the way, if you want a quick arbitrage thing, you could have bought it before that. It runs up, sell it, and then you can because it went up almost like 20% in a week.
I saw it.
So it's like hashtag invest.
I guess.
How's Top Shot doing? Not so great. They made their mistake. They made their bet early. Their biggest mistake was they actually hampered people's ability to cash out. Because some people did great in Top Shot for a bit there because they got in early enough and they had a lot of stuff. And then on paper, they were millionaires or multimillionaires. But how good is it if you can't get the money out?
That's right.
Yeah. So it's like with these other things, it's like you can get the money out. Like it is possible to sell it and get the money out. With Top Shot, not for a while. Like they struggled with getting that set up, either intentionally or by design. They struggled with that. 90s is a golden era of inserts with true inserts, not like this 1 of 1, 5 of 5, 10 of 10, red, blue, green, zebra stripe. Actually, it was funny because in that sports card investor one, in the course of his freak out, because he spent $500,000 in select cases. So in the course of his freak out about the money that he had put into it, apparently Panini has gotten so many inserts, they literally are like have inserts that are named after almost any animal you can think of. Zebra, elephant. There's literally an elephant print. And I'm like, I could probably envision it if I thought about it, but I'm like, elephant print?
Yeah, that's taking it a little bit far.
Yeah, it's like, and they've already done zebra and snake skin and all that stuff. And it's like, okay then. So even Sports Card and Jester Jess is like, what are we doing? Collecting a zoo?
Yeah, true.
It's, well, fair enough. You're not wrong. Paper chase cards with generally cool designs. Yep. Oh, yes, and there's a peacock design.
There you go.
Fair enough. So, guys, I think we'll wind her down. I wanted to find a window to be able to go get a refill, but I don't think I'm going to find one, and I think we're winding her down anyway. I'm still going to get my refill, but I need to take advantage of it. It's like, look, we're going to end the damn stream so I can get my beer. That is what I would like, because then I got to go back to work tomorrow. I got to work over the weekend. So that's going to happen. So thank you all. In the chat especially, thank you for the great questions and comments. It's been really great. A lot of you have popped in, so I appreciate that. Any last second questions or comments that you got in there, throw them in there right at the end, and we'll bring them up. But otherwise, we'll wind them down. Next live stream planned is going to be next Friday. It's going to be the usual schedule. I don't have anything else planned in between. I don't anticipate any need to have anything else, but there'll be some regular videos on the channel, the usual thing. So that'll be all part of it. Absolutely.
Cheers. Have yourself you never know what pops up.
Yep. Aussie Card Dad, appreciate it. If on your way out you would be so kind as to hit the like button, we would appreciate it. Thank you. Not required, but it is free. Not required, but it is free. And subscribe if you're not. Again, free. All right, guys. So have yourselves a great night. If you're on the West Coast, you still got some time left on your Friday. Enjoy. If you're out on the East Coast, it is now Saturday. Enjoy your weekend. Have fun. Talk to you later.